Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Lab Rats Entertainment Podcast. My name is Ezra, and I'm joined by Sawyer and Ahmad.
For those of you at home, we just pointed to us in the wrong order, but...
Yeah, I just realized it. See, this is why this whole new thing of me saying your names was a mistake.
You had one job, Ezra.
Well, we kicked it off with a bang. It works.
Yeah. For the uninitiated, we've recently done a format change in a sense where instead of each of us bringing one topic or one topic per category, now each of us brings a news story, and then we also bring like something to talk about. Each of us has sort of 10 minutes to just sort of do whatever they want with, and then at the end we do a broad discussion. This week is going to be DC media, so not comic books but everything else, except for music, I guess, but I don't know about DC music.
The movie.
Yeah, exactly. So with that, Sawyer, what is your news story?
So, my news story, and I'm going to need you to fact check the state for this too, but there was a report that came out that a congressman wants to impose what's called a sin tax on video games. This would only be video games that are rated M or above, and the games that are rated above M do not get distributed on store shelves because most of the time they're just porn. So, this would mean that, similar to alcohol, cigarettes, stuff like that, I'm not quite sure the percentage, but there would be a tax, in addition to your regular state tax, on video games, simply due to the fact that they would contain mature content. Despite the fact that some of these games with mature content are not nearly as bad as some other movies with mature content, and there is no sin tax on film or television or music.
Yeah, so this gets at something that I have noticed with games in particular for me, is this doesn't really alarm me, even though I think it's not a good thing. For me, with video games, I see them as basically having the exact same timeline that movies have had.
Mm-hmm.
Like, basically down to the number of years. And so when you think about like how the MPAA was created and like the Catholic Church code thing, like that was all weird and problematic and like goes against the value of freedom and all of that. But movies made it out of it. Eventually they sort of seeped into culture to the point that that the courts were like, yeah, this is free speech. I'm like, you're allowed to make this and not be punished for it. So I think games being such a big cultural phenomenon in the U.S., in a way that a lot of the people running the U.S. right now don't understand, I think it's just a matter of time before they're sort of left alone.
There was already, and it was mentioned in the article, I can't remember what site I read this on, it might have been Kotaku, but they mentioned that like the Supreme Court already ruled that it is constitutionally protected. Like video games are free speech, they're part of the First Amendment. But despite that, they're still wanting to impose this. So we can't, and allegedly I understand the sentiment this is coming from. This lawmaker wants to use the funds from this tax and put it into school safety initiatives due to because of all the gun violence. But that gets into another issue. They're just deflecting the blame. They're saying by doing this, they're saying that every single school attack that has happened is now the fault of video games. It's certainly some of them have had an effect. I mean, there's the alleged rumors that the Columbine shooters were inspired by games. But that doesn't mean that every single attack is
and the other thing is, like, it's sort of removing the insanity element as well.
Yeah.
It's like, I saw this weird meme where it's like, if video games make kids more violent, how do I keep beating them up? It's like, it's sort of, but that sort of gets at it to the point of, like, the people who have committed these school shootings had more wrong with them than playing GTA.
Do you think that these games are really developing lethal skills? That these
No.
kids are
Yeah.
these kids are sort
I
of.
think I have an issue with letting kids play things like GTA, things like Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I think that it does negatively affect them.
Yeah.
But I don't think like deflecting the blame and saying like, yeah, these M-rated video games, you know what they're doing? They're making they're turning our kids into school shooters.
What-
It's like that doesn't help anything.
Like, my issue with this is, like, yeah, there are studies that say, yeah, maybe there was some certain aggression. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I've certainly rage quit some games before, but it doesn't mean I'm going to go out and kill people because I get frustrated at a level.
Yeah.
Like, I think that people are forgetting there is a difference between aggression and actual maliciousness that can come from playing
Well,
these
and
games.
maliciousness and genuine insanity.
Yeah.
Right? Like, malice is a part of it, and I think there are legitimately evil people out there, but I also think it takes somebody who has legitimately gone insane to go to a school and shoot kids. Like, that's legitimately an insane thing to do. And so, like, removing that element from it and blaming an art medium is not, it's just not helping. I understand like wanting to help, and I honestly like if there was evidence to suggest that this would help, I would be all for it.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it doesn't help.
like, I understand. I agree with the fact that, like, yeah, elementary school age kids should not be playing these games. A lot of these are really messed up.
Yeah.
That being said, there's also the counter argument of, well, kids before this age, especially, like, there's a little story of kids in the 80s watching RoboCop, Terminator, all this other stuff, and they didn't end up as shooters, the same thing too. But then there's the whole argument of, well, there wasn't any interactivity in those. Bottom line is, I don't think this is going to help, because all this is going to do is tax them. Like, it's not like this is going to keep the kids from playing them. It just means we're going to be paying more for them.
Yeah.
That's the, like, if this was going to be...
Which video games are already expensive.
They're already $60 plus.
And, like, I think the fact that so many kids have played GTA really just speaks to the fact that parents are idiots.
Yeah. This just speaks to the fact that nobody's using the rating system. That's really the thing.
Yeah.
Because similar to cartoons, I think there's a stigma in America especially, and I guess this kind of goes for other countries, but I only know about it here, that similar to anything animated, adults typically just view it as, oh, it's a video game, my kid can play it.
Yeah.
Video games are becoming similar to animation, where it's not just because something is in some kind of, I guess, medium that it automatically means it's for this age group. There is such a broad spectrum of video games. Like, it comes from the adults who grew up in the NES era, where just like there were no NES games that really showed brutal violence, as they were all in 8-bit.
Well, and there were no NES games that had any sort of semblance of like a storytelling component.
Closest one was like The Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Well, and the story in that is like, oh, you saved the princess.
Yeah.
Mario, oh, you saved the princess, but she's in another castle. It's like that sort of thing is like, it's not really a story, it's just a medium of getting you from place to place.
Whereas I think it's those people saying, oh, well, it's a video game, it's like the old Nintendo, they can play it, and then they see this graphic violence in Doom, and they're like, well, that's not what I thought was happening.
Yeah.
It's because video games have evolved just like movies
Yeah,
have.
it's sort of like, I guess my issue with that mentality as well is like, video games, for some reason people think that video games shouldn't have evolved into that art form, into an art form, that they should have stayed as just like weird things that your kids did at home when they were bored. Like, that's where it should have stayed. And I think, like, that's just not, for one thing, it's not realistic. They're too big. They were going to have to evolve at some point. And, like why? Like, why do you care that much, right?
I don't get why people would actively want something not to evolve. Like what is essentially just a cool, neat idea for people to have, like, an entertainment form not to evolve.
Yeah.
That's like saying, like, oh, you know what? I don't want films to start being in color. I don't want it to evolve. I want it to stay this way.
Yeah,
It's the same kind of
I want
argument.
films to just be recordings of stage plays.
They've got to be black and white and silent forever.
Yeah.
Like it's the same kind of argument.
Yeah, which is it's foolish. How about any final thoughts on this?
This is likely going to...
I've played first-person shooters and I'm not violent.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this bill, and there's been other ones like it, it's likely going to die in committee in Congress. This is probably not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
It's just... It frustrates me that these kind of bills repeatedly pop up.
Yeah.
Now, the Supreme Court has said they're protected, thankfully, and it's going to be kind of hard to go against that.
Against the Supreme
But
Court,
there's been people like the lawyer Jack Thompson who went after GTA for what felt like more than a decade, I think.
Yeah.
Like, video games, just like every other art form, are going to be gone after, and eventually, once we start having another art form pop up, that'll take the place of what's getting most of the blame for it.
Well, and I think especially as Congress keeps getting younger, I think this will probably die out. The at least the legal side of it will die out. The culture side of it is going to die out much slower, but I think we're not far
and
off.
it's one of the
that.
video games are one of the fastest growing forms of entertainment. There's like, I forget the statistic, but we brought in billions of dollars in 2018.
Yeah.
It's,
Although apparently a lot of companies were down last year.
well, it's also the major ones were down, but there's also more games on the market.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, it's just because EA put out a lot of crappy games, now they're upset that they didn't make as much money. Yeah.
So, so we're going to move on. My news story is, I have sort of two. So last week we talked about Shaggy potentially being in Mortal Kombat 11. Apparently not going to happen, which is a real shame, I think.
Well, the meme will be dead by the time Mortal Kombat 11 comes out. I mean, the meme's already kind of dead now.
Yeah.
But what if it had resulted in Shaggy being in MK11?
There's plenty of other characters I would have rather had in MK11 than Shaggy.
Oh man, you guys were so hype about it last week.
I mean, that was
and then
last week.
then the moment it gets deconfirmed, it's like, oh well, there are better characters.
Well, yeah, I mean, the meme was still alive, and I was like, yeah, this is kind of a neat thing. But, like, I don't know, there were so many characters you could have gone with. Then they were like, oh, we'll go with Shaggy.
What would you like to see in Mortal Kombat?
I mean, they didn't. There's so many. Like, they did Kratos in the game on PS3.
Oh, that's cool, yeah.
Just the PS3 version.
Yeah.
but like, I would have liked to see, like, I don't know, even though they did DC versus Mortal Kombat already, throw Batman in there. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Or like
Superman, Supergirl,
or even like other famous
Nathan
horror
Drake.
icons. Like they did
Mario.
they did the Alien and Predator and Leatherface.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't you throw in Michael Myers or Freddy Krueger?
Yeah.
Do something like that. Like, I think Freddy could be cool.
Sure. So that's sort of like, it's disappointing for me, but that's sort of like, it's sort of one and done. It's over. So because I haven't actually really talked about this stuff on the podcast yet, I was going to launch into some speculation because South by Southwest announced that they are going to be having a Sonic panel.
As in the Hedgehog?
Yes.
Oh.
Sonic the Hedgehog. Which, for some reason, last year they had a Sonic panel and they announced some really cool stuff. So I'm sort of thinking that, like, Sonic, because it's not respected by the gaming industry anymore, that it's just going to be doing stuff at, like, South by Southwest from here on in, which is fine by me.
So it's not just a panel for the movie, but for the franchise?
No, yeah, it's like the social media guy, Aaron Weber, who's really cool. Sonic doesn't deserve Aaron Weber. And like the lead animator or like one of the producers for the shorts that they produced recently, which I would highly recommend. Sonic Mini Adventures on YouTube, totally free, adds up to like 30 minutes total. It's perfect. And like Takashi Iizuka is like the head of Sonic Team. And it's like, so like having those names there means that it's more than just the movie. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to go see the movie. I'm probably going to walk away from the movie having had fun. But the movie's going to be trash.
I have absolutely zero interest in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I could not be more disinterested in a video game.
Which
film
is
than I am
totally
in this
fine.
film.
I have no issue with that. Just as a Sonic fan from the time I started playing video games, I am like, I have this like obligation to go pay for it, which is weird
It's like me with Star Wars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a lot of people with Star Wars.
Yeah.
So, I suspect we'll get a Sonic movie trailer, and we'll probably get, there's like the Sonic racing game. You're watching God of War footage. You mentioned Kratos and he was like, I'm gonna look up Kratos. And then there's also the Sonic racing game that's like a spin-off. It's like a continuation of like the All-Stars racing stuff, except now it's only Sonic characters.
I didn't know there was enough Sonic characters to make a Sonic All-Stars.
Oh yeah, there are tons of Sonic characters.
The only thing that interests me about that is Nick Cage being in it.
He is?
Yeah.
In
the
what?
Sonic movie, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I don't think he's.
He
Jim
voiced-
Carrey is in it.
Oh, Jim Carrey.
Okay, I was gonna say, now I'm interested. Like, now I'm gonna go see
Nick
this.
Cage in a Sonic movie. Yeah, Jim Carrey plays Eggman.
I don't really... I'm not Jim Carrey's biggest fan.
Oh.
Eh.
I mean, I don't hate the guy. He was good in Kick-Ass too.
I legitimately
Oh, yeah.
have no thoughts other than Sonic looks weird, but I just need to see him in motion first. If he looks good in motion, then it's like whatever.
The internet is gonna have a field day with this movie.
Oh
when it
yeah,
comes
the
out.
internet is gonna like. I'm probably gonna have to like, not go on the internet because I'm gonna just be like sad.
The internet is going to tear this to
But-
shreds.
But that is not enough to fill a panel.
No.
I don't think. I think you could release the movie trailer during like the hotbed of trailers, whenever that is.
Comic-Con?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could, like, you don't even have to have a panel. You could just release it during Comic-Con. And
When does the movie come out?
this year,
What month?
Just
November. Right?
November 8th, 2019.
So they
November.
could drop it in front of, I don't know, Detective Pikachu. Just drop it before that.
Oh my god.
Same audience.
Wait,
is gonna be
when
there.
is Detective Pikachu?
Is it like May, I think?
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I can't wait
It's
for
like
that.
April or May or something.
This looks really creepy.
So,
That's not the actual thing. That's not what Sonic's actually gonna look like.
I was gonna say that. Yeah.
Now, that might be actually what Sonic looks like, but we don't know. Maybe.
I don't know why they just didn't make an animated movie.
Yeah,
Seems like
that's
such a
that's
better
my
idea.
issue. The live action thing is a big issue for me. I'm like, you do realize that you could have just done like a Ratchet and Clank thing and just made it like that, but they didn't.
It's gonna be like based on like it looks like a Rocky and Bullwinkle kind of movie. That looks like garbage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like, and the problem is, that's not actually what it's gonna look like. That is legit. I think that's literally just Jim Carrey plastered on a CG
series of
Doctor.
That's
unfortunate
a series of unfortunate events.
Yeah.
Like
And
posters.
it's like it's literally just him, and then it's like a Dr. Eggman thing from the CG opening of Sonic Unleashed. So it's like that's not actually what it's gonna look like.
like I'm with you on this though. Why didn't they just make a CG animated movie? Like that would like same thing with Mario.
Because
Like the same thing here with Angry Birds,
Sega
Angry
doesn't
Birds.
understand Sonic.
Sega doesn't understand a lot. Period.
Exactly. The best thing that Sega has done in years is let Nintendo basically control Bayonetta and let Atlas do its own thing.
Pretty
That's
much.
literally the only good things that they have done recently.
Like they've
but-
got so many great properties and they've done nothing with them.
Well, nothing good with.
Nothing to. They haven't done
Um,
anything with Fantasy Star outside of Japan. Yeah.
That's true. So, just a little bit of speculation. I think there's a shot that they announced Sonic Mania 2.
Probably.
Because that game was very critically successful, probably didn't cost very much to make, and was like critically I think it sold really well too. And I think it's been 2 years since Sonic Forces, which I didn't like. It's not a good game. Don't buy it. But it's been 2 years since Sonic Forces. I'm interested to see what they're doing next, because they're going to keep making Sonic games no matter what. Even though I've said I think they need to take like a 10-year break. But they're going to keep making Sonic games, so I'm interested to see what they do next.
Have they made like like a Mega Man Legacy Collection type thing where they just put all the Sonic games in one box? Because
No, but they should. Well, so the other thing is, the head of Sonic, Izuka, has been talking about wanting to make a Sonic Adventure remake, which I'd be down for, especially if they got rid of the Big the Cat fishing minigame. Although, side note, I have been into fishing minigames in Japanese games recently, so it's weird. Like, Final Fantasy 15 has a great fishing minigame. Persona 5 has an addictive fishing game.
didn't We Play have a fishing minigame?
I have not played We Play very much, so I don't know.
I vaguely remember that.
Anyways, if they announce the Sonic Adventure remake, I'd be very happy about that. And especially because like the story in Sonic games are like cheesy and stupid, but Sonic Adventure has a pretty tight story, so it'd be like that's a good way to do that. So either like a new 3D Sonic or like a Sonic Adventure remake is probably whatever they're
Or you
doing.
could expect the Mario and Sonic at the 2020 Olympic Games.
Although I don't think they've done anything since like 2016.
Oh, didn't they do one for the Winter Games?
Yeah, but that was a while ago. That was like Wii U days.
Hmm.
So it's been a second. So yeah.
That was last year.
Yeah.
What, the Winter Games?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the last Winter Games they did was like the Sochi ones.
Yeah.
No,
In
yeah,
2014.
That was a while back.
Yeah.
But
Which
what are
the
they-
first Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games.
Was that
game?
Beijing?
No, that was summer.
Oh, the winter one.
Yeah, the winter
Yeah.
one. That game is actually awesome. I really like that.
I think you meant like the first Olympic
Oh
one,
no,
period.
the first Olympic Winter Games one is really good. I really liked it. So, with that, Ahmad, what are your news stories for this week?
Yeah, but I'm going to talk about a combination of two. So first, I want to talk about this game that I guess, no trailers dropped for it. I mean, not to my
It
knowledge.
was
at
literally
least,
like a day before somebody announced that something was happening.
and then
Day of, boom.
Apex Legends, I guess, is something really big. It kind of reminds me of Overwatch in a way. Like the characters have abilities.
Like that
is
hero type shooter.
Hero type shooter.
Yeah, it's like a hero battle royale. I guess.
And I guess it's really. I mean, I haven't played it, but it's really.
It's a phenomenon.
Yes, people are talking about it.
It's already got, I think, a higher player count in its first 4 days than Fortnite did in its first couple days or something like that.
Wow.
Which is
It's
really.
like it's already hit like 80 million players.
Wow.
It's
That's
huge
insane,
already.
yeah.
So, for one thing, it was very intrusive for PlayStation to just auto-download and install to my PS4.
It did that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe that's why it has 80 million.
When I get home and I turn on my PS4, so I'm probably gonna see.
Dude,
That's why it has
that
so
was
many
very
players.
intrusive. I was like, wait, like, maybe I would have downloaded it. Like, I don't have an issue with having having it. But I didn't ask you to download it for me. I didn't tell you to do this.
Like
Don't do
Apple
that.
put that U2 album on everybody's phones.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, don't do that. That's weird and intrusive. Don't do that.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
It
of
feels
that.
way
About
too
that.
much like Big Brother to me.
Yeah.
I just like please don't.
Yeah.
It's very uncomfortable. Anyways, I'm on.
I was gonna say anyway. That's like I didn't know that.
Top 10 fishing mini games.
Hey, stop Patreon.
Mr.
What
Fact
is stop
Checker is
looking at
looking
my screen over here. Okay, you
We need like a separate series of just what's on Ahmad's
What's on
browser.
Ahmad's computer while we'll just put like a secret cam
Hey,
on the small back
sometimes you
here.
gotta say something that interests me, and I'm like, you know what? I don't know much about that.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Are you sorry?
I am sorry.
Are you really sorry? Okay.
I just saw that and I was like, really? It's like
Well, I didn't know that they did that, which kind of makes me like a little bit more iffy about the game. Then that's
Yeah. Well, it's I think that obviously contributes to why.
Yeah, I mean, but people are saying that it's like you said, it's not. I think I was talking to somebody. It's not buggy at all. Like it doesn't crash at all. It's not as buggy as like the Black Ops.
It looks
whatever
to be doing
game.
something new with the genre. Like
Yeah.
I'm very much, as if people have listened to these last 13 episodes, know that I'm not really a multiplayer fan. When I play a video game, I usually prefer it to just be one single story. I play through it and I'm done. I don't like the type of games where I'm going to be playing for 2-3 years to a non-existent goal. So I'm not typically a battle royale guy. I don't play Fortnite. I don't play PUBG, and I don't really like Overwatch, even though it's not battle royale. And when this game just randomly dropped, I had no idea what it was. And then I heard it was made by Respawn, and I was slightly interested. And then I heard it was part of the Titanfall universe, and I got even more interested. Then I watched gameplay, and I was like, this looks really cool. I might actually try this out. Because one of the things that I always questioned about Battle Royale was, why would I want to go into a game, probably get killed in the first 10 minutes, and then have to sit there for another hour while people duke it out and just spectate the entire time? But they introduced a new mode, or I guess a new mechanic in Apex Legends, where if you get downed or killed, you, like, your ID card or something can get picked up by one of your other team members, and they can take it to, like, some station and revive you and bring you back into the game.
Also, it's when you play multiplayer, you can only go up to 3 players. You can't go up to 4.
It's not 4
for squads. And I think it's 60 players instead of 100.
That's
not
smart.
100%
Yeah,
sure
I think
about
I looked it up earlier, and it's 60 instead of 100, which is, I mean, that's cool because it's not as many.
It's not as massive. I think
that's the one thing I didn't like about Fortnite. It's just, especially the.
It's too empty.
Yeah, and then I just, it was a big jump for me from being used to like closed map arenas to like a expansive big map where I had to like just check behind my back every like second. So I just
it's an incredibly smart marketing strategy to like be a pretty prominent developer and then boom, just announce a thing and then drop it the next day. Like,
and it's free to play.
Really, that's really effective.
Not that many.
And they've probably made their money back in full already.
Well, and the other thing that I was super surprised about is obviously Respawn's parent company is EA. From what I've heard, the microtransactions in this game are not like Battlefront 2 intrusive. They're essentially just straight cosmetics. You don't need them. They're just kind of cool things, which I was very surprised about because I was expecting it being an EA battle royale. They were going to try and suck as much money out of you as possible.
Really, the game like they were in Battlefront.
Battlefield 5, I can guarantee there's going to be a DLC in Battlefield 5, or the next Battlefield game won't even have a campaign. It'll just be multiplayer and battle royale.
Yeah. I imagine EA will probably go the Activision route on campaigns in Battlefield.
For me, Jedi Fallen Order is the last straw for me with EA. If that game is bad, then I'm done.
If that game is bad or is canceled, then don't trust EA with Star Wars, Disney. Oh wait, you already did that.
And they said they didn't mind what they were doing too. Some Disney higher up said that too.
Speaking of Disney,
it's
a good segue.
Oh yeah.
Unless you wanted to say something else.
Oh no.
I'll report back after I play more of Apex Legends if I do end up playing it, and I'll let you guys know.
I'll give it a whirl.
Yeah.
I opened it and then I was like, I want to play Kingdom Hearts 3. So
I'm not Switch yet, but yeah, go ahead.
Disney dropped a teaser trailer for the live-action Aladdin film, which started off, it didn't look that bad. Like, some of the stuff was actually like okay.
Yeah.
And then
if anything, it looks pretty good.
It looks pretty good. Like the I forgot the city, Agrabah. Doesn't look as like, it kind of looks, it looks good, but then Will Smith happened. I mean, and then I just he comes out of the bottle, the lamp.
The lamp. Not a bottle. He comes out of Sire's Lasagna water bottle right here.
Okay, alright. Why are you on me today?
I mean, if Will Smith would just pop out and hang out with us now if I open that water bottle, I would do it right now. Like, it's just...
I would be like, what is happening?
Sponsored by...
Special guest, Will Smith on this episode. Let's think on the tags. Get some more views.
Will Smith.
That's hot. So he comes out of the lamp. And he just doesn't look good. Some of this. I actually laughed because it just looked so goofy. It was bad. It was the CGI obviously isn't done. I don't know if it'll get any better, but I don't know why he has a chubby face.
This movie is releasing this year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that far away. I don't think actually.
I think, the CGI is not done, and you know what? I don't even care if it's a bad CGI, because Will Smith as Genie is hilariously good casting.
He has still got big shoes to fill, though.
Yes. Yeah. Filling the shoes of Robin Williams is one deal. That's not going to be easy to do. However, if you were going to cast anybody else as Genie without getting Robin Williams back, because you can't do that anymore, I think Will Smith was basically perfect.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Guy Ritchie's directing it.
Guy Ritchie? Huh.
That gives me a little bit more hope.
Yeah. Also, it's coming out May 24th, which is
May.
not that far away from
No,
like,
not far.
This movie, this guy, I don't want to get into a whole soapbox with this, but like these Disney live action remakes, I could not care less for any of these, really.
Yeah.
Mulan, I think, could be cool if they play it like right, but I have a feeling Disney's gonna play it safe.
And they have to bring back Eddie Murphy for that, though.
Oh yeah.
Well, so what I've heard about the Mulan thing is that the captain is gone, like Shang, like the captain of the troop that she joins, is gone. The villain is no longer Shan Yu, but like an evil witch or something like that.
Okay.
And here's the kicker: they're getting rid of Mushu.
No. Okay, never mind. I don't care anymore. I don't care.
Also,
That's stupid.
I'll Make a Man Out of You. Not going to be present.
They're not even doing
because
music.
no
I don't think
songs. Yeah.
Why?
No songs.
Well, then what's the point of the freaking movie?
Exactly. Like if you don't have, maybe they play "I'll Make a Man Out of You," but it's just a montage. Like it's not an actual musical. It's just a montage.
Oh, they'll do like instrumental versions, like in the Aladdin trailer. They do the song, like they never had a friend like me. They just do an instrumental version.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to do that because Jungle Book did that. But like just these movies, they all look exactly the same.
Yeah.
They're all just big budget CGI. Like I have no problem with
they're
the
like
CGI.
this sort of Field of Magic.
Cash grabs.
It's just
cash
Disney
grab.
preying on your nostalgia. It's just, hey, you remember this property? I know you like this. Go take your kids to it and buy the toys. That's
Although
really
what I liked,
these are.
what I liked was when they did movies like Maleficent.
Yeah.
You know, that was a really good movie.
A
and it
new
was
twist on story.
Was
was
Maleficent a Disney?
Yes, it
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
Huh.
They're making a second one, from what I've heard.
Really?
Yeah, I
mean,
think
that was
I've
like
heard
that was like a pleasant surprise because it was different and I hadn't seen anything like it
Yeah.
before. And it was a nice twist.
Although I think the ending may have been a little
I didn't see it.
much. Yeah.
I would disagree.
Like, I
Also,
take such issue with the fact that like Disney has so many great properties, and they always were known as like good ideas. For a while, every single thing they made was golden, and now almost every single thing they're making is just a remake of something they already did.
Last year, what movie did they come out with?
Or it's an animated film that's awesome.
That was original.
That's true. 2018, I can't really think of
Incredibles 2, which was
a
awesome.
sequel.
Wreck-It Ralph 2, which was a sequel.
And-
This year is going to be Frozen 2, which is a sequel.
and that's not even counting all the Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't
They do
think
own.
of.
They do own so many.
But, so Moana was original. That was 2016.
Yeah.
Did they even do anything last year? I
No.
can't remember.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Incredibles 2.
Original?
Yeah.
Nothing original.
No, and it's probably gonna continue.
Yeah,
'Cause-
I mean Wreck-It Ralph 2, and then.
Although
Incredibles
I think there's something to be said with sort of like sticking with what works.
Oh yeah, like I have no problem with sequels. I'm not that big budget CGI sequel hater kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like I think, like for example, with the CGI stuff, I have no problem with there being a lot of CGI in movies. My issue with the Will Smith thing is that it looks bad.
It just
When you have movies like Planet of the Apes and
Yeah, there's no
and
excuse.
Avengers Infinity War, where you can make the main character fully CG and it works the entire film. There's no excuse with a studio as big as Disney and a budget as big as this movie
I don't know.
has
I think
to make it look
Thanos doesn't work the entire film.
But, I mean,
He's
for-
convincing,
as
but
the
not
main
the
character
entire
for the entire
Yes.
movie, arguably,
Yeah.
he looks pretty great, especially in a movie that already has
Yeah.
a lot of CG sequences.
So
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. I'm just excited for Will Smith as Genie. I think it's smart.
I think honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Out of all the voice actors that are actors just alive right now, I would say. I mean, Will Smith wasn't a bad. I feel like he's like the safe bet.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I mean?
Like
one of
I
those
was
actors
expecting it
are
to
like-
either be him or Kevin Hart.
Kevin
One of
Hart.
the two is gonna be.
Oh, I would rather have.
I
Will
think
Smith.
I think Kevin Hart in that role specifically doesn't work as well because Kevin Hart is sort of the kind of guy who's sort of like he bounces around a lot
He
and
banks on
he
his small
talks
size.
he talks a little too fast, whereas when I think of Genie and Robin,
and
the other thing, his voice is really high.
What if they would have had John
Whereas,
Mulaney
like,
voice?
Fucking great.
John Mulaney is.
I think about John Mulaney is now I can never unsee
him as Spider-Pig.
Like I started to watch his stand-up. Sorry, his stand-up comedy, and like he just talks the same exact way. Like it's just like literally the same.
You could do Kevin Hart as the new Mushu if they were doing Mushu.
I mean
that would be kind of perfect.
Pretty funny, yeah.
If they didn't get Eddie Murphy and just got Kevin Hart, that'd be pretty great.
I don't know if Eddie Murphy would even want to do it.
I don't know.
Probably not.
Yeah.
All right.
So, with that, I'm going to do my 10 minutes of whatever. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is we're going to do a Chris Nolan special, so I'm not going to talk too much about this.
No.
But I just watched The Prestige last night.
Mm-hmm.
Really good film. Really smart movie, which is something I feel like I say about every one of Nolan's films.
I mean, that's...
And I felt like when I was watching this movie, it sort of felt the least Nolan-esque in a way.
How so?
It felt... So when I watch a Nolan movie, I get this sense of, like, this modernity to it. And I get that he was trying to do a period piece, but I think because it's not a very special effects heavy film, it's just sort of like...
You've seen Inception too much.
I have seen Inception too much. Well, and like with Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises, Memento, like all of those films, those films have this sort of sense of like big budget or like they feel sort of big and modern and like pushing the edges of what cinema is capable of while still trying to like tell this really neat story. When I was watching The Prestige, it felt very quiet and really intimate in a way. And it's really good. Like, I really liked it. And there are big elements to it. Obviously, because they're, like, playing to, like, thousands of people, and it's about magic, so it's sort of gotta have a little bit of fakeness to it and that sort of thing. So I really liked it, and I think my one issue was that they made... So there are, like, two big twists at the end of the movie. One of them, if you're thinking about it at all, is really obvious. The other one is not. The other one legitimately surprised me. I was like, oh.
Should we spoil it? Have you seen it?
I have not seen it all. I've seen bits of it, and it was years ago. So. Yeah.
So I would. Well, for one thing, I would go home and watch it right now.
What's it on Netflix or? Prime?
It's not on anything.
I got
but
the
you
DVD
can
at home.
you can rent it for.
Did you rent it?
If you I rented it.
Yeah, I got the DVD at home. I'll see it at like spring break or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really good, and then the other thing I'll touch on really quick is I don't know how obscure this is in like anime terms, because like anime, there's like to some people Naruto is obscure, even though it's not actually obscure.
Isn't it like the second highest grossing sort of, or like?
Yeah, but it's kind of like there's an episode of The Flash where Iris makes fun of Barry for being into Dragon Ball Z, and it's like I had no idea what that was talking about, and it's like, look, if you have any understanding of Dragon Ball Z, it is not hard to comprehend at all. It's just guys literally screaming at each other, doing really cool things, and also being really charming characters.
And having some of the most immense power in any fictional
Exactly.
character.
So it's like that sort of thing where anime is still viewed as niche.
It's still viewed as like this weird subculture kind of thing.
Yeah. And so Angel Beats, I watched when I was like 14, 15, something like that. Very well put together. It's about kids who died. These like high school kids who died and wake up in this like school setting, and they're And what they have been given is like they died viewing their deaths as unfair. And so what they have been given is the chance to fill whatever void was left. Sorry, we've had some issues. People are listening to a loud thing in the background.
Yeah,
so
our
if
next door neighbors are being a little loud. So, yeah.
So with that, I think something to think about with Angel Beats, and I think what makes it really interesting is the fact that these kids are damaged in a lot of ways, or like some of them are damaged and some of them like were literally just dealt a bad hand. Like they're good kids, but they were not happy at the end. So it's really interesting watching them come to terms with like their deaths and like what they want out of an afterlife. And I think there's like an element of reincarnation as well, where they like get reincarnated into another life and they can spend that life with the people that they sort of reconciled with. So I think it's a very strong anime. It's 13 episodes, half an hour each. I think it should have been... Apparently there's like a lot more to it in the source material.
Graphic novel, I assume.
Yeah, I think it's either a light novel or a manga. And yeah, it's very strong. I'd highly recommend it. It's been a while since I watched it, but yeah, it's good. And don't expect this like major action flick either, or like this action anime. Like there are action elements to it, but don't.
It's kind of like a Your Name kind of thing.
Well, a little bit more action than Your Name, but like not very much. Like the action is just sort of there to stylize it a little bit.
It kind of reminds me of, based on the way you're describing it, there's a short in the Animatrix, like the anime Matrix.
Oh yeah.
It sounds kind of like that, like in terms of like the way it is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, with that, Sire, what's your?
So mine, for my 10 minutes, there's several things I could talk about, but I kind of wanted to go into talking about high-def remasters.
Okay.
Because it's, most people, when it comes to film, you see it, and then a couple of years go by, a sequel comes out, you see that, and then you typically forget about them. Yeah. But for movie nerds like ourselves, we always want to see things in the best quality possible.
The best quality, yeah.
So, now, obviously, I don't have a 4K TV because they're a little expensive and on a college student budget. I don't really have that kind of cash.
Yeah.
But, in terms of high def, I've always wanted to see the best Blu-ray remasters of stuff.
Yeah.
And I want to know from you guys, what are some of the best high def remasters you've seen?
Well, so, for me, when I think of, like, HD remasters and stuff, for me, I don't really... When I watch a film, as long as it's not intrusively bad quality, I don't really care as much. However, when I'm playing a game, that's where it starts to hit a little bit for me. Yeah. So I will say, and this might be a little bit of bias showing, but I think the Kingdom Hearts remasters are some of the most well done remasters, not remakes, remasters of a video game. Yeah. Because what they do is they HDify them, and the PS4 versions run at 60 FPS, whereas the PS3 versions still run at 30, but the PS4 versions run at 60, which is really nice. It makes it a lot cleaner.
Yeah.
And they sort of remaster the soundtrack a little bit. They add some of the extra Japanese exclusive content, and and it's really nice. So like, in terms of that, I think that's really strong. I think one of the issues with high def remasters. So one of the things in film that I thought was interesting was the Peter Jackson doc.
Oh, They Shall Not Grow Old.
World War One. Yeah, They Shall Not Grow Old.
I was fascinated by that.
Yeah, that's a really interesting. It's not quite like a high def remaster of it, but what it is taking old footage, like processing it probably out the wazoo to make it into 16:9 without losing any of the fidelity, and then coloring it in.
Yeah.
And then doing like Foley and adding voiceovers to make what they're talking about.
Sound effects and everything.
And sound effects and all of that. I haven't seen the film.
Me neither.
Yeah. And I don't feel the need to see the film because I feel like I've already seen what I need to see in the trailers.
Like, I do want to see it. It just wasn't playing anywhere near me in the time that it was available to. Like it started playing in my hometown after I moved back in here.
Yeah.
I was like, great, thanks for that.
Great. Yeah. So I think. Yeah.
For me, movies that are more noticeably like remastered and stuff are like classics like back from like I don't know the 30s, 40s, even the 20s. But movies like Gone with the Wind and like stuff that are like that's obviously like, hey, this is like a very big step up from what it was. But also movies like, going back and revisiting movies like The Shining, Thing, even like Shawshank Redemption or something like that.
Yeah.
Movies like that are, it's like, for me, it's not a like drastic change, but it's still something to have like that's cool and stuff. So I don't really pay attention to that stuff really. I kind of enjoy the grain sometimes and enjoy the grittiness of a lot of the movies.
For me, it's more about how true is it to the original shot, for instance. Like with the Star Wars George Lucas stuff, I forgive a little bit because for one thing, he's trying to keep it consistent with what he had previously made. So like putting Hayden Christensen in, stuff like that, like stuff with the Emperor or Jabba the Hutt. Like I can forgive that.
Oh man.
I don't think it's particularly good, but I can forgive it. What I have an issue with is a remaster that changes fundamentally what's going on.
So also Star Wars. No.
Yeah, well, so like Greedo shooting first.
Yeah.
I think that's an issue.
That changes Han's character.
Yeah. And like the Seinfeld thing that we talked about at one time, where they literally just zoom in.
Yeah. That I think is a separate issue.
Yes.
The aspect ratio changing, I am very opposed to that.
Yeah. I think it's kind of hard to get like a high def remaster of something that's in 4:3 without making it.
That being said, I think the original Star Trek series is like a great example of how you do that.
Yeah.
They went through, they rescanned the original film stock, and it cleaned that up so it's like a fresh 2K transfer. And then they went through and changed all of the effect shots into CG. Mm-hmm. That being said, they made sure it was as close to the original shot as possible.
Yeah.
So when the Enterprise flies around the planet, they made sure it was the exact same shot, just done with CG, and it looks really good. Obviously, the CG, it's on a television budget in like the mid 2000s, so it doesn't look fantastic. But it still looks a heck of a lot better than those old ones did. And unlike Star Wars, they didn't just erase and get rid of the original versions. Yeah. They're still available on DVD
Which
and Blu-ray
is
if you want to
foolish.
see
The
them.
fact that somebody has to like recut the original Star Wars theatrical release and like release it on torrents and stuff like that is actually
the only other version you can get of the original Star Wars trilogy is like on a really bad quality version on the 2006 special edition DVD set, which is extremely hard to find.
Yeah. Or like an old VHS. Like I think my friend's dad has an old VHS that's
and you cannot get them on Blu-ray, and they have not been restored.
Yeah.
And if you find the DVD versions, it's the grain still there. It's the aspect rate. It's 4:3, and also the top and bottom are
Yeah.
barred too.
Yeah, like I think we have a pretty good DVD version of all of them, but it's still like, yeah, Star Wars has had issues. So
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to
I am.
hijack you.
I mean, no, I was gonna say
Okay.
I am for preserving and sort of
Yeah.
remastering like old Criterion Collection films because I mean I always watch those and they're sorry I'm going
No,
on
you're
with
good.
this but like they look stunning what they could do, which is
Yeah.
insane. But I'm all for sort of remastering and sort of preserving the sort of older.
Some of my favorite ones like that would be like when they went back and remastered all the old James Bond movies.
Oh yeah.
They look really,
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
Like Thunderball
Yeah.
is one of my favorite Bond movies, and
Yeah.
it looks the underwater sequence looks fantastic.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That Mad Max: The Road Warrior looks great.
No, I don't want to sound crazy, but don't they remaster animated movies as well, right? I
They-
mean, like,
they have.
remastered, like Disney movies. And
Disney
So
has
Mulan,
them.
they I know that they at least will remaster like parts of
I'm
stuff.
talking like Snow White, like really old, like Disney.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm pretty
Snow
sure
White
that-
probably they've remastered.
Disney, I'm sure, probably has to theirs. I
like
don't know about
Bambi
other studios
and stuff like that.
You know, I think there's probably an HD version of Mulan. Like, cause the thing with animated stuff is like they probably still have like the old, like slides and stuff. So like if you just sort of add, and then like what they were shooting on was limited.
Mhm.
So like if you just sort of add like the 16:9 aspect of it, like, and I think it probably you have to like account for different stuff in the 16 by like when you change it to HD 16:9 because you can suddenly fit a lot more onto the screen. Like you probably have to like think about it a little more, but it's probably not as hard as like making live action footage into 16:9.
It's also probably another thing with these HD remasters with
Yeah.
animated movies is that a lot of these studios don't necessarily either find it necessary or for a lot of these other ones that we probably know. Now I'm not talking old, I'm talking like 80s through
Yeah.
the early 2000s. And they ran into this problem with trying to remaster the later Star Trek shows.
Yeah.
Is when they were edited and the final version was on videotape. They can't just run that actual film stock through a machine and get a new transfer.
Yeah.
So you'd have to, when they did the remasters of The Next Generation, they had to painstakingly go through every single episode and redo the effects because
Yeah.
they don't have that
Uh-huh.
film. They were edited on a videotape.
Yeah.
So that probably is going to cause issues for remasters, which is why we're never going to get a remaster of Deep Space Nine or Voyager, because it's simply, it would take countless,
too hard.
It would take years and it would take a lot of money.
Yeah. Which
So,
is why everything should be a movie, because they have more money.
Yeah.
Like games, you can do it because there you have that capability. Movies, you're only remastering 2 hours, so it's not going to take as long. TV, it would take, unless it's natively HD or it's an extremely popular show. Like Next Generation, it was Paramount's biggest. It's arguably bigger than the
Yeah.
original series. There was no way they weren't going to remaster that, so they paid for it. But
Yeah.
Deep Space Nine and Voyager are not nearly popular enough to get that treatment.
Yeah.
But if you want to see like great remasters, I'd still argue the footage, the original footage itself in the Star Wars trilogy, the original Star Wars trilogy, looks really good now in a Blu-ray transfer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like if you can,
Yeah, I think that's true. I just think it doesn't hold up as well.
Yeah.
I think.
I think the additions are like I'm not talking the CG additions. I'm talking about the way the footage looks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I don't necessarily agree with all the additions they made to the actual image in terms of adding new CG characters and changing
Jabba
some
the Hutt.
shots. But the actual restoration of said footage looks probably some of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right up alongside, I think I'd probably go Thunderball, The Road Warrior, and then the Star Wars trilogy for like the best remasters.
Nice. Yeah. So Ahmad, what's your topic this time around?
Sarah's gonna have to help me out with this one, but I'm gonna talk about a film called Vice that came out.
Vice, pretty hyped up last year.
Nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah, nominated for an Oscar. I wasn't really hyping it up that much, but the cast and ensemble of the film is a little hype. I haven't seen The Big Short,
Me neither.
so I know it's just from the same director and same sort of crew, but
Christian Bale,
Christian Bale,
Amy Adams,
Sam
Steve
Rockwell.
Carell.
Steve Carell, who was I don't know what to think of the film. I don't know. What do you think? Sorry, like
So,
politically, did you think it hit the messages that it was?
I thought it was a little bit. How do I word this?
Heavy-handed?
I thought heavy-handed is one way of saying it. I think it was a little bit too on the nose for some of it.
Like how? I
Like
guess in,
its message is very. I would argue the film is very biased. I don't think it's
very one-sided.
This is not a film. If you're going into this for a history lesson, this is not the film you should.
Oh
go
no.
into.
I mean,
Yeah, that's what I've heard. That's maybe one of the biggest
Yeah.
criticisms I've heard is it's too mean.
If you go into this film, you're gonna go in for the performances. I think Christian Bale does a great job portraying Dick Cheney.
yeah.
I think everybody is portrayed well acting wise.
Did you, Sam Rockwell? Do you think he?
I thought Sam Rockwell. I think he got the mannerisms down right. I thought really he did the best he could with the script he was given.
Mm-hmm.
The script basically exists to just make fun of George W. Bush in those scenes that he's in, but I think in the scene where, like, for example, he's announcing I think it's been a little while since I saw it.
Sort of, yeah.
But when they're televising his speech about the invasion of Iraq and he's tapping his foot,
Yeah.
I think they got the whole kind of he's nervous about what he's doing kind of thing down.
Yeah.
But the film,
I like that
especially
scene.
the scene there was a couple scenes that really showcased the bias to me. The first one was when they show the transition from Jimmy Carter into the Ronald Reagan presidency.
Yeah.
And there's like this like hopeful music with Jimmy Carter, and as Ronald Reagan comes in, they just transfer the showing the solar panels thrown out, and it's just like this dun 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 kind of music.
Yeah.
And that was like they very clear, and sometimes they don't directly state it. Sometimes it's part of a joke, like a Family Guy cutaway. I'll get more back to that because I have a lot to say. I don't want to hijack your topic.
No, but I mean, no, you're good. I was gonna say like, especially with the solar panel stuff like that. I mean, yes, that was. I guess.
I mean, it probably happened. I'm not gonna say it didn't happen.
But that was. I mean, hopefully it didn't. I don't know. It's very sad. If it did happen, it's very sad. But you're right. It was very biased in that sense. But it was very satirical as well. I wasn't expecting it to be as like satirical, like funny. I mean. When I saw the company who produced it, what were they called? But the company, the company that keeps producing comedies and stuff, I was interested. I was like, wow, this is, I don't know, this isn't going to be a serious, dramatic film, which is what I thought it was.
Yeah, I thought being Adam McKay, because like The Big Short, from what I had heard, actually told the story of the 2008 meltdown,
recession.
Like it told it with a serious take, but also just had some cutaways they use that comedy to break down these things that are hard to understand.
Yeah.
Because for a lot of us, including myself, all that financial jargon I just don't understand. So their way of just having Margot Robbie sit in the bathtub and explain it, it's just like a kind of a funny cutaway from the movie.
Yeah.
But this movie doesn't use them to explain the events. It just uses them to poke fun at the people who are being portrayed.
Yeah.
Like
with the scene where he walks in on him. It's like the first time I'm trying to think of the scene, but he walks. George Bush asks him to come to his office and stuff, and he I don't know, just like they just poke fun of Bush like the whole time. I mean, I'm not saying Bush.
I'm not saying the guy didn't make mistakes,
yeah.
But it doesn't mean you should trash him the entire movie.
Well, and the thing about this is like what you want to do when you make movies like this is be as fair as you possibly can, because what you don't want to do is have people coming away being like, yeah, that was kind of mean. that's like what
I was
you don't
expecting
want.
this to be a biopic, and that's not what it is.
Yeah.
Which it kind of started off kind of cool. I was like, okay, this is interesting.
The opening is great.
I could get behind
so
this.
The opening spoil. I mean, it's a true story, so not really spoilers.
I don't think you can spoil this.
The opening movie it opens with Cheney being rushed to the bunker on 9/11. That's how the movie opens, and it shows how essentially, in the way they're saying it, that Dick Cheney used the tragedy of 9/11 to get power. So the opening voiceover is like, on one of the most horrendous days in American history, instead of talking to wasn't it the president?
Yeah, the president or something.
Why is Dick Cheney talking to his lawyer? Like they have this whole thing.
Yeah.
He saw it as an opportunity.
But it's
to
like,
make money.
Granted, none of us were in that bunker, so I don't think any of us truly would know what happened in there. There's probably a lot of things that happened in that bunker that we don't know about.
Yeah.
Which they do also like poke fun of, like, hey, like that it might not all be accurate. I guess in the very beginning they kind
Yeah.
of do that. But for the most part, I don't know. It was like unbelievable. I don't know. It was just
The other
way too
two
satirical.
scenes that I thought were specifically biased. One is when they show the end of the Bush presidency and Obama coming in. They paint him like the savior of America.
Savior of America. Yeah.
Which I like. Yeah, I get it, but at the same time, it's not being objective. They have like this footage. There's like this faint background music of like a hopeful kind of music, and the light pans on him, and it's this whole glimmer of hope thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
That-
also there was a really sorry, I cut you
No,
off.
the last scene, just real quick. For those of you who don't know, Dick Cheney had heart problems, and he gets a heart transplant in this movie, and the last scene they take out his original heart and they set it on here. It's obviously not beating, and it's kind of like black, and it's basically meant to say that Cheney had no heart because they took his heart out and replaced it.
Yeah.
So it's literally the joke is, haha, Dick Cheney has no heart. I was like,
Yeah.
real on it, and they linger on it for so long.
Yeah.
I was like, it's like, it's very, very biased. And then the ending credit scene basically says, if you don't agree with this movie, then you're either stupid and you're wrong.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Like the end credit scene is, oh, this movie's all liberal propaganda, make America great again kind of thing, and it's just this old Southern hillbilly in a football jersey, and then some other guy jumps on him, and then the movie ends.
Yeah.
It's like,
there were a lot of interesting moments.
That's
I wanted to
foolish.
point out.
Yeah.
Like the dining room scene that was kind of funny.
That was the one scene that I actually thought was genuinely hilarious.
Hilarious,
There's
yeah.
the scene, Ezra,
It's pretty hard to explain.
It's kind of hard to explain, but they walk into this diner. It's kind of a cutaway sequence,
Okay.
and it's Cheney, Rumsfeld, and two other higher ups that I can't remember who they were.
Okay.
And they're essentially plotting the invasion of Iraq, but it's told as them ordering food. So it's like it's done with them kind of like
Looking at
like,
the waiter.
as the waiter and like carnivores, just like, oh, I'm gonna have this, and they're going over things.
Yeah.
And they go on this whole thing. It's like, we're gonna make so much effing money or something like that.
That's
It's
funny.
It's a funny scene.
Well-
it's obviously meant to just make a joke,
Yeah.
but it was actually a well crafted and funny scene.
Well,
I will agree
and
with that.
like, I think it's one thing to make fun of politicians. Like that's one thing, but being sort of like, we're gonna make fun of politicians. Oh, and aren't we right? That's another thing entirely.
Like some of these scenes felt like just cheap SNL jokes.
They were. I
It
mean,
didn't
like,
even feel like a movie.
a lot of the scenes, especially with the Sam Rockwell, like the Bush stuff, felt like an SNL skit of like making fun of.
Yeah.
Hey, let's make fun of him. I mean, I like I said, I don't really think that Bush was the greatest president.
I mean,
Obviously.
he's not the best, but I
Yeah.
still think he deserves a little bit of respect.
Yeah, I mean, for being.
Well,
a-
yeah,
a
and
private-
like, the fact is, he is a respectable president.
Yeah.
You don't have to like him.
Yeah, he certainly made mistakes. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean you don't have to.
But like
They
he's,
portrayed him as a-
but he's like he's like one of the last guys still living as president today, who like was a president today. That's like, yeah, you can still
I
respect
think for
this
me, just
guy.
the pacing.
Like,
The pacing was just off.
Pacing was off. The only things that I really enjoyed in this movie was that was the performances,
Yeah.
and in that scene at the table.
Yeah.
Despite being heavily biased, it was clearly a
Yeah,
joke.
the ending was really
So-
heavy-handed as well. I mean,
Oh, very.
it just like it gave you a lot to like just like
That-
try to swallow.
and the narrator thing they did was I did not
Yeah.
think worked.
Yeah.
Basically, the narrator ends up being an actual character in the movie.
oh, okay.
But it's just some no-name guy, and he somehow ends up being.
Isn't he his son? And then like he gets
No,
the dude who runs and stuff and gets,
Yeah.
ends up getting run. By,
I don't think it's because I
That's
don't
his-
think Cheney
that's-
had a son.
Well, I think I'm pretty sure he's like in the beginning he says something about his like being his son,
Huh.
from what I recall.
I'll have to go with this because I think that might have been creative license. I'm not
Oh.
totally sure because I thought he only had 2 daughters.
Okay, I mean,
but
I would make sense,
You
though.
might be right. That you want to fact check that?
yeah, I mean, I don't know if I could
Yeah.
look it up, but
Mr. Fact Checker,
I mean,
Yeah.
you
it's-
win the fact check.
Basically, the narrator is supposedly a character played by Jesse Plemons,
Okay.
and he somehow gets involved in. Eventually, he's the character who ends up giving his heart to Cheney after he gets hit by a car in a really weird.
That got
scene.
me off. That caught me off guard. I was like, "Whoa!"
Me
What kind
too.
of but that was like,
And they show him in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Oh, yeah.
and then he gets run over. And
That's weird.
Yeah, it's the whole movie just had a lot of strange choices, and the ending was off.
Go.
Yeah.
There's a scene where I could go on and on about how the editing was off and the scenes were weird, but the cutaways, it felt like a weird live action Family Guy episode.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
if you
true.
took a Family Guy episode and SNL episode and just mashed the two together, that's really what this movie is.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say is the effects and like the makeup stuff for making Bale look like Janie.
Oh, that was
actually really good.
That was amazing. Yeah, that was.
He does look really
good.
like.
I mean, his acting was pretty. I mean, spot. A lot of the acting in the movie was spot on.
My biggest issue.
That's the big thing I've heard is that like the story might not be the best and like the writing might not be the best, but the acting is.
The acting is great, and it's. I would argue the acting is really what you go to. That being said, the actors clearly had some bias in it too, because. Yeah. Bale just said he actually thanked he's at the I can't remember what award show it was. He said he thanked Satan for his role as portrayal of Bale.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's a bit much.
That was at the Golden Globes, right?
In the Golden Globes, he's like, "Oh, I had thanks Satan for my portrayal of Vice President Cheney." I was like, "Really? We're really going that low?"
Oh my goodness gracious.
I would advise if you are a history buff and you are not going to be swayed by bias, go see this movie.
I was interested in the period of time they covered.
If you don't, the best thing I can say about this movie is if you go into this movie and it intrigues you, you'll read up more and learn how things actually happened.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one, I guess, good takeaways. For people who don't know the story, it could get them intrigued, and then they could go on later. The bad thing is, some people may not go on and actually read the story.
Yeah, that's maybe the issue is that, like, this is... Some people will take this, like, as fact, and, like, that's not the way you should take any movie.
They don't necessarily make things unfactual, they just heavily sway it. Like, things are presented the way, at least from what I can tell, largely accurate. They just take these events and show them in a light that makes these people seem like negative.
Also, Dick Cheney did have 2 daughters, so
yeah, he did have 2 daughters. And maybe he had more than 2.
It might be a creative license. It might also be that like Ahmad got something that like wasn't there. Like he thought that it was something that wasn't there. I'm not accusing you. I'm just saying. I could have picked something.
I do remember a line in there, but I think it was mostly just meant to be a joke. I don't remember.
Like at the beginning, because I don't know, it just.
Yeah, it could have been like they were poking fun at like some weird relationship they had or something like that.
That's mostly what. Yeah, Monty, everything else.
I mean, it was underwhelming. I was really. I mean, looking at the cast alone, and I didn't really care about what the story would be. You know, just seeing sort of Christian Bale in that position, wearing the. Whatever prosthetics they had.
Well, no, he really fattened up for this.
Oh yeah,
like
he was unhealthy.
Yeah.
That
man, we watched an essay on his method acting, and that man has done so much like to his body that he's probably got like decades off of his life.
Going from The Machinist into Batman Begins definitely took some off.
Yeah, like that, like. That man has, like, endangered himself, and it's like Christian Bale, I need you to, like, just, like, work out some, like, get back to, like, a normal shape, and then just, like, do weird action movies where you don't have to go shirtless.
He's going to end up with Cheney's actual heart problems if he keeps this up.
Yikes.
So, calm down, Christian Bale. With that, I think Christian Bale is actually a pretty good segue into. We're going to talk about DC media. So, Ahmad, I'm going to rely on you to bring up the lists for us because my internet is trash.
We start with movies?
Yeah, let's start with movies. Movies are probably the most.
Yeah. I guess we should get out of the way and say we're not going to talk about games, are we?
Yeah, so games, play the Arkham trilogy. And play the Injustice games.
With the DC video games, as we learned from our previous Marvel episode, we haven't played a large majority of them. Really, we've only collectively between the three of us played the Injustice games and the Arkham games. The Injustice games, I think we can just sum up saying, are pretty good. Yeah. But if you want to hear us talk about the Arkham games, there is a previous episode where we did talk about them. So
Yeah.
Go check that out if you want to hear us talk about those.
All right.
Yeah, do it.
So
So,
starting off, Superman and the Mole Men.
Didn't see it.
didn't see
I
it?
think
Well,
I believe it's a pilot episode to
19
the show.
Yeah.
The old
Yeah,
one.
well, it's like there's also a mini series
Yeah.
as well. It's
So
like
it's
serial.
theatrically released pilot for the 1950s Adventures of Superman TV
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
Stamp day for Super. I don't know if we should.
That's actually an interesting thing to talk
Alright.
about. It's one of the only times I can think of where a superhero like Marvel or DC film
Was
is
government.
actually in the public domain and
Yeah.
licensed by the government.
Oh, really?
Like it's a because it was made by the United States Treasury,
Yeah.
so it's
Oh,
in the public
okay.
domain.
Yeah.
Huh, weird.
It's so if you never need to show Superman footage and you can't get the rights, go with that old
Yeah. Yeah.
Treasury film.
So
Okay.
I guess this might be the first actual film,
Mm.
Batman, 1966,
Yeah.
Okay.
produced by 20th Century Fox.
Would it have been the?
It's Adam
It's related to
The
the
Adam
it's related to the
West,
television
yeah.
series. So I mean I've seen some. Is this the one with the funny shark?
I don't remember. It might be.
I love I haven't seen I've seen like bits and pieces
Yeah.
of the old Batman
Yeah.
show, but I haven't actually watched it. Like I love like the way that people describe this show. Like we'll get to it, but I love the way that
You ever
it's
seen
just,
any
like,
clips from this?
I've seen clips
Yeah.
and like I know what like its deal is,
Yeah.
but it's so like hilariously goofy in a really charming way. And
As
it's
a
like,
kid back then, I would genuinely be entertained by it.
yeah, and I think it's an entertaining idea, and I think I would probably like it if I went back and watched it.
Yeah.
But I just haven't.
It's
and
very much a
it's-
product of its time.
Yeah,
It's like
and it
don't go in
sounds so
expecting-
pure too.
It's honestly, it's essentially a parody.
Yeah.
When you look at it, it's not really Batman. It's a parody.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Holy crickets, Batman!
My God. All right, so
He's had to do some
1978,
kind of-
Superman comes out, and this is interesting. So it
Yeah.
won one special Oscar, which I don't know what that means.
I'm not sure.
And
I
now-
don't really
So
mean their
so
special
I
effects,
did
but-
so I did my history of film piece on Superman films, and what I found was interesting was that Christopher Reeves really has defined the role
Mhm.
in a lot of ways. And also Brandon Routh in Superman Returns is basically playing Christopher Reeves as he's like playing Christopher Reeves playing Superman, and it's really interesting because they look really similar.
I thought he did a relatively good job in Superman Returns.
Yeah.
Brandon Routh.
Yeah, well, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Superman is like icon. Like it basically launched the idea of what a superhero movie could be. I think it's not that great of a film. Like I think going back and watching it when we have these like fantastic Marvel movies is like people have made the argument that it's the greatest superhero movie ever made,
It's not.
and it's like no,
For
it's
the time it was. 'Cause
yeah,
it's
for the
only one that
time,
existed,
yeah.
pretty much.
But it's like that doesn't like it's too generic, and it's like that doesn't work.
If
So
you're,
anyways,
if you're talking about the history of superheroes in film, you start generally with
you start with Superman.
Like, I mean, there had been cartoons before, and obviously there was the Batman TV show.
Yeah.
But superheroes as a cinematic idea did not really start until Superman.
Superman.
So,
Um,
anyways,
Superman 2, also 1980.
Haven't seen it.
So the 1980s.
The one thing I want to mention with that, I haven't watched it, but there are two separate cuts. Generally, from what I've seen, people agree to go with what's called the Richard Donner cut.
okay.
It was like a re-edited version in 06. It's not the real, I guess, air quotes, version of Superman 2, because for those of you who don't know, Richard Donner, the guy who directed the first Superman movie, I believe originally was going to plan to shoot the first two back to back, but they pulled him off the second one midway through production and replaced him with, I forget the guy's name, another director.
Richard Lester.
Yeah, Richard Lester's version is the version that came out theatrically, and the entire sequences were changed in Lester's version. So,
Yeah.
to the best of their ability, they made another cut that was closer to Donner's vision. However, they obviously couldn't incorporate certain sequences because they were never shot, and Christopher Reeve was dead by that point, so they couldn't.
So
And also much older.
Yeah.
the next film on the list is called Swamp Thing.
I have not seen
Have
that.
not
Written
seen
and directed by Wes Craven.
Which is why I want to see it. Because it's Wes Craven.
Yeah.
They're making a show on DC Universe about it, though.
Neat.
Yeah.
About the movie Swamp
about
Thing,
Swamp,
or about
like the
Swamp
character Swamp
Thing?
Thing.
Okay.
Superman 3,
Haven't seen it.
1983.
It's known as the one with Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh man. Supergirl.
Garbage.
So this is something that's interesting to me, is that Marvel had not really been making films until the 2000s, until
Pretty
like
much.
around the 2000s, 1990s.
It's really Blade in
Yeah.
98.
And so previously the only like any instance of a female superhero at all would have come from DC anyways. And so I think it's really interesting. You'll hear the stories of like how Supergirl, Catwoman, what was the other one? There's another, Supergirl and Catwoman are the two that I can think of. That like,
Wonder Woman.
oh yeah, and Wonder Woman.
Kind
I
of
was like, there's another one that's like, I'm totally missing it. It's not Elektra.
Well, we talked about
Wonder
that
Woman.
in a previous episode.
It's really interesting hearing about how these movies were awful. Like, or I haven't seen them, so I can't say from like, but like everybody says like these movies are awful, and like, and they didn't sell, and so executives were like, well, I guess female superhero movies don't work.
And then, I think that's also, granted, it's still terrible, but when people say, oh, Wonder Woman is the first female superhero movie, I'm like, actually, 30 years ago, there was one. It was garbage, but it was the first.
Yeah.
Super.
So, anyways,
All right, 1987, Superman 4: The Quest for Peace.
Garbage.
Yeah, I heard
It's
that's
basically
bad.
a Cold War.
yeah, that was
thing.
something. That was something
Yeah.
interesting that I was reading about. Was that the Quest for Peace is very much a Cold War film. Like it's basically just like
The main villain is Nuclear Man.
Oh,
That's not even a joke. That's Nuclear Man.
oh man, that's funny.
It's Lex Luthor basically creates him, and there's a scene at the very end of the movie where Superman spoilers, but who cares? Superman rounds up all the nukes on Earth and throws them into the space.
Oh my god.
That's an
hey,
actual
if
scene
I
in the
if I
movie.
could do that, I would.
Yeah.
So you know.
But it also is super cheesy and like super
Yeah.
Cold War era.
Although to be fair, Superman was always like this walking PSA guy.
That's true.
So it's like, I don't know if like I feel like that might be something that I don't like about Henry Cavill's Superman is that he doesn't actually like tell people like, hey, don't do this. This is not a
No.
good thing to do. Like he doesn't
Superman 4
actually. Do
lacks all subtlety.
that.
It
Yeah.
lacks all subtlety.
Anyways,
All right,
keep moving.
so 1989, the Swamp Thing
the
returns.
the return of
The
the
return of
Swamp
Swamp King.
Swamp King. I want to see that movie.
Oh, no.
Swamp,
Swamp
King.
Thing. Sorry.
Swamp.
I'm
King.
sorry. Yeah.
My bad. All right, so we're gonna get into
Oh, we're gonna start getting into Batman. So
Yeah.
Batman also
the 1989 Batman.
1989.
I like Batman
Also-
89.
So I like it.
Won an Oscar.
I have a few issues with it. My main one being that every time I've only seen it once. When I watched it, I really got this sense that Michael Keaton was playing Peter Parker, playing Batman.
Okay.
Because he, like, if you think about it, he's playing this like nervous dude who's very socially awkward, and he dresses up as a bat and goes out and fights crime for the good of his city. Now, Bruce Wayne is a bit socially challenged, but he's not exactly like nervous. Like he's a playboy. Like that's his thing. That's like the Bruce Wayne thing.
Mm.
He's not Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And I, like that was something that really struck me about it. Was I felt like I lost a little bit of Bruce Wayne. Like I thought Michael Keaton did a good job, but I don't feel like he was playing Bruce Wayne in the
It's
same
a
way.
very different interpretation from what we
Yeah.
know now as a typical Bruce Wayne.
Also, the Joker being the guy who killed Batman's parents
I don't like that.
is not good.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's good.
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson is really good.
The best part I think he's a good Joker. I think they're
Yeah.
both good portrayals of the characters, regardless of the changes they've made. I think the best part of it is the aesthetic. It has that noir kind of timeless look to Gotham.
Yeah.
Like I don't look at Gotham in this movie and think, oh, that is clearly 1989. Like, it has a very timeless look.
Yeah.
Not as much as the animated series does, which I'm sure we'll get to. When
Yeah,
we
we'll get to that when we get to TV. Yeah.
Get to that gem.
So-
All right. Batman Returns, 1992.
Got our Lord and Savior,
Oh
Danny
my
DeVito, as
Danny
Penguin.
DeVito, our Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
So it really starts to fall off at Batman Forever.
Yeah.
Wait, is that which one is that?
The one with the Riddler and Two-Face.
Yeah,
I haven't seen
Nicole
this
Kidman, Jim Carrey as Riddler.
Also, I just have to shout out my favorite guy's Funhouse, the YouTube channel. There's a guy on there. His name's Don, and he could recite the Penguin speech from Batman Returns on cue, and when he does it, just Google Funhouse spelled Funhaus Batman, and you'll find it. It's hilarious.
Okay.
All right.
Shout out to my boys.
I'm kind
Funhouse.
of jealous. I wish I could do that. Batman and Robin, the gem.
I hate this movie.
I could
So-
quote all the.
So I didn't realize that Arnold Schwarzenegger played
Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze. So when I went and watched, I think you were there. Somebody
I was there.
in this
I was
room
there, yeah.
in this room was there when I went back and watched some old clips, and the
Chill.
Freeze puns are hilarious.
Let's cut the dinosaurs. The Ice Age.
It's like it's sort of joyously horrible.
Like, the
In
only
a
way you
way.
can enjoy this movie is if you consider it a sequel to the 60s series. Like,
Sure.
Forever and Batman and Robin, I do not count as sequels to Batman and Batman Forever, or Batman and whatever it's called.
Batman Returns.
Batman Returns.
Yeah.
I count those two movies as a separate series. I don't,
Yeah.
like, if you count
Sure.
Batman and Batman Returns are very different from these two movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, very different. All right, Steel,
Onwards.
1997 Steel. So,
Have not seen it.
It's a train wreck.
Is it
Okay.
Catwoman, 2004.
One of the worst films I've ever seen.
Wow.
The CGI is some of the worst CGI in the history of cinema.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
that is true.
Also, the bad guy played by Sharon Stone, her plan is to make poisonous skincare ointments.
Yeah.
Wow, that's sexist.
Oh, the entire film is extremely sexist when you actually watch it.
All right.
But also, it's not even Selena Kyle. It's just some random. Her name's like, it starts with a P or something.
Yeah.
It's
Why
not
wouldn't
even
you
Selena
make
Kyle.
it Selena Kyle? That doesn't make
I
any
don't
sense.
remember her name, but it has literally nothing to do with the character of Catwoman.
That's funny.
There's also a really weird basketball sequence. It seems like an MTV music video. It's really weird.
That's weird.
It's just her and Benjamin Bratt. That's weird.
Oh, man. I was
All
trying to
right,
think of
onwards and
There's
forwards.
also she's resurrected by a CGI cat after falling down.
Yeah, I
a
saw it.
sewer
Oh
grate
my
or
god,
something
yeah.
like
I actually remember that as a kid. That was
that. And
bad.
the cat is completely CGI.
CGI. And it looks so
That's
terrible.
really funny.
Honestly, I feel like it scarred me as a kid, just like how bad that was.
Oh, the movie's so bad.
Constantine,
Okay.
Keanu Reeves.
Do you guys have anything to say
Keanu
about
Reeves
this
is
one?
Constantine? I
Yes.
need to see this
This
movie now.
is not bad. I will defend this movie.
I need to
People
see
trash
this
it,
movie.
and I actually think it's really good.
I need to see this movie
Yeah.
right
it's
now.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah, it is on
It's
Netflix.
on Netflix? Oh
Yeah.
man, I'm gonna
Like-
go home and watch this movie.
It's not bad. Like, people are like, okay, I will give, yeah, he's not blonde and he doesn't smoke at the same rate that the typical Constantine does. I still think it's a great movie. It's got the aesthetic down, and it's clearly got, I mean, it's got Keanu Reeves, so I'm gonna love
Which
it.
was
Yeah,
like a
and it's Keanu
very
Reeves
popular at the
as
time.
Constantine,
Yeah, I still think Matt Ryan is a better,
like portrayal.
he's
of
a
the
better
character.
portrayal of the character, but I think this movie gets the Constantine world down better than Legends does. But then again, I haven't watched the Matt Ryan show. I've only seen him on Legends, so I'll have to judge later. But yeah, this movie, underrated.
Underrated.
It's
Okay.
not great, but it's underrated.
So we're gonna get to a new,
So
new,
this is-
new
this
dawn.
is-
New
A
Dawn.
new dawn for DC films.
Batman Begins.
This is a very short period, by the
2000.
way.
Very short period.
This is a very short dawn.
This revolutionizes the superhero industry.
Yes.
for us.
So
I mean,
so this movie is where superhero movies start to be good.
start to.
I think they were already good with X-Men.
That's a fair point.
But this is
And the
Brian.
Spider-Man trilogy, which we could argue about to the
I was
end
gonna
time,
say, are you
so-
admitting that they're... Yeah.
I'm admitting that they're at least of quality.
Okay.
I just don't like them very much.
Okay.
But this is when they start to become more of a I don't know,
Taken
critically
seriously.
and
Yeah.
sort of.
Well, so Batman Begins is still a very, very superhero film.
yeah.
I-
But it's this is a Chris Nolan film. And
It's a Nolan film.
Chris Nolan understands the character Batman. The
Yeah,
character.
he's clearly, like, there are directors who don't do their research. Like, the only thing that they pay attention to is, like, Dark Knight Returns, and, like, some of, like, the weird dark stuff that Batman had done recently. And, like, Nolan clearly went and, like, dug through everything to get to where he did the Batman.
When you look at
trilogy.
Nolan's sort of filmography, he does a lot of films that are like very bendy, loopy with their sort of story, right? But he understands how to tell a simple story, 4-act structure or whatever.
Yep.
He doesn't. There's no loops and turns. It's just a simple 4-act structure, and he knows how to tell the beginning or the Batman sort of.
It was. I was watching a video essay about this, and I think it was Just Right, and they were talking about the 4-act structure, and that one of the things that they said was that they were describing the bare bones of Nolan's least complicated film.
Yeah.
And so it's like that sort of really indicates how well put together Batman Begins is. It's really good.
And it's a beautiful, it's a beautiful film.
Cillian Murphy.
A lot of so the thing, Nolan is what I feel like Zack Snyder should be. I feel. Nolan knows how to. He has a lot of moments, right? He has a lot of moments in his films, but he also builds up to that. So
it's like that. The Nerd Writer essay of moments.
We're just gonna list off YouTube videos.
Yeah. So I think like Zack Snyder, if we're gonna briefly compare the two, Snyder's got the aesthetic down. He knows how to make things look good, but he's not as great at narrative.
He knows.
Nolan has narrative down. He knows how to make things look good, but I think Snyder, if we're comparing the two, knows how to make things look the best.
Snyder has an amazing imagination. Like he knows. I feel like he just knows when he sees something in his head. He's like, "This looks awesome. I'm gonna make this."
But he's not very good at executing.
But in regards to
we'll get to the movie I like of his soon. But
all right.
So also, one thing about Batman Begins, it basically brought back Batman movies from the dead. Yeah. Like this was the first good DC movie, arguably since 1989.
Batman and Robin sort of buried Batman.
Actually, when Batman Returns was 91, right?
Batman Returns was 92. Batman Forever was 95.
So essentially, this 2005 is the first time we had a good DC movie since 92 when Batman Returns.
So over a decade.
Yeah.
So the next movie up on the list is also a really good movie, V for Vendetta.
Yeah, quite good.
Yeah,
haven't seen it.
I remember as a kid I saw it and it was
It's barely a superhero film. I wouldn't even really consider it a superhero film, but it is based on a DC storyline.
All right, so we're gonna get to one that we might argue about.
Superman Returns, 2006.
Sawyer, what do you think?
Okay. I thought when I first saw this, I thought the visual effects were like kind of when it first came out, I was like, this is like the greatest thing ever. The visual effects are amazing.
Okay, so here's what I think about this film.
Do you think it's a good movie?
I don't know. I haven't seen it for. I don't know if it holds up or not.
Okay.
I don't know.
So it has been a while for me, but I still remember. I think the movie is way too long.
Yes.
I think Brandon Routh is a good Superman.
Except he's a carbon copy of Christopher Reeves.
But this movie's also designed to be a sequel to Superman 2. It ignores 3 and 4 and it's a sequel to 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I think
I'm looking at Sawyer very suspiciously right now.
I like the aesthetic.
Okay.
I think there are some sequences that are cool. I think the plane sequence is cool, and I think the scene where like the boat's sinking and he pulls them out, I think that's done well.
Yeah.
That being said, it is very boring.
It's so boring.
Nothing happens in this movie.
Nothing happens, and I don't care.
Now that I think about it, the two scenes that Cyrus listed off are the only two scenes that I remember. That's why I was like, it was
the plane scene, and then the scene where the boat sinks, and then like Lex Luthor stabs him. That's really it.
Yeah.
This movie is almost 3 hours, and really only two scenes.
Nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
And I don't care. And you know what, Brandon Routh, you're good in the Arrowverse. But Superman Returns was a mistake, my friend.
It was drawn by Bryan Singer.
Can you blame him though if he's getting
also
Superman, an iconic
character? Bryan Singer and Kevin Spacey. Really?
Okay.
Like, are we?
I did think he. Okay, now obviously, just putting it out there, I don't agree with anything that he did. That being said, I do think he was a good Lex Luthor. I think he.
Yeah, I think that's true.
I think I don't think he was bad.
I'd agree.
I thought the movie.
Although I thought he did like the cartoon villain thing all wrong. Like,
Well,
it didn't feel...
This movie felt like it was trying to be the old classic 40s style
Yeah.
Superman. It was not a really 2006
Well,
movie.
and it didn't know how to do that.
This is
I
what
think.
kept Bryan Singer. Say what you will about the guy, he can make good X-Men movies. This is what kept him from X-Men 3 and basically made X-Men 3 trash. I wish they just switched. Give Brett Ratner Superman Returns and give Bryan Singer X-Men 3. At least we would have gotten at least probably
a decent
good X-Men
X-Men
movie.
3, yeah.
And probably still a bad Superman movie.
Yeah.
All right. 2008. The year. The year and a half.
The year.
Well, the year that you have basically dual identities.
The year it peaks.
So
essentially.
we're gonna do the first one on the list.
Which is The Dark Knight.
Oh wait.
No, it's just
I
one.
thought Green Lantern was this.
No, that comes
that's
off.
2000. Okay, whoa. Well,
Sorry, I
that's
thought I
2000.
saw Green Lantern and Dark
2011.
Knight. Yeah. All right.
So The Dark Knight.
I'm
What's-
not
what's
willing
there-
to
what's
say
there-
best superhero
What's
movie
there to
ever
be
made.
said that hasn't been said about this?
Yeah.
Well, we've also talked about Dark Knight in the previous episode.
Yeah.
So if you want to hear us talk about that
Yeah.
more, because we can go on forever.
Yeah, very, very brief. It's a masterful film, and
Like we said,
Heath Ledger is terrific.
Nolan understands.
yeah.
There's not a single bad thing I can really even think of to say about this film.
Anybody back then could have said that.
Sorry, Dad. I know you feel erased, but whatever.
What?
Oh, he hates this movie.
Really?
Yeah, my
Really?
dad hates The Dark
I
Knight.
kind of respect the unpopular opinion, but I mean,
I can see those who might not like it. It's
very
long,
depressing.
It's depressing, and it's not a fun movie. But in terms of cinematic achievement, I think it's a really
Yeah.
well-made picture.
And the performances are when Christian Bale doing a really, really good job as being Bruce Wayne Batman
it's overseen.
is like maybe the weakest part of your film.
Mhm.
That says something about the performances in
Yeah.
your movie, right? Like that's
Also,
terrific.
basically set the stage for every modern superhero
Yes.
film.
Maybe
Which-
which was it?
for
Which-
better or worse.
Could have been a hit.
A little bit of
maybe.
both.
Yeah. So,
Um,
anyways, let's move on to
2009.
Okay.
Watchmen.
This is Watchmen.
Okay, so this is a very near and dear place in my heart. This film, the book it's based on is probably my favorite book of all time.
Okay.
It's one of the only books I've actually read more than once.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think
Wait, sorry.
No.
I was gonna say real fast. I
Yeah, go
thought
ahead.
that the scene in his apartment were with the Joker, right?
comedian.
Comedian, sorry.
Yeah, they're meant to be similar.
Similar.
Yeah.
But comedian. With his apartment where he gets beat up and then like just
The beginning?
thrown out. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that was the coolest scene ever as a kid.
It
Sorry.
is one of the most well done. It's also perfectly translates the comic book to the movie.
Really.
They are almost
Yeah.
exactly the same.
I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen like comparisons, and it's like exactly.
Like, I'll keep it somewhat brief because I know we got a lot to get through in terms
Yeah.
of history, but the performances are all great. The characters are well realized. The only, I guess, Malin Ackerman, I think that's her name, as Silk Spectre 2 is a little weak compared to the rest,
Okay.
but Jeffrey Dean Morgan as the comedian and Patrick Wilson as Night Owl and Jackie Earle Haley as Rorschach. Those three are all perfect.
Yeah.
And I think, what's his name? Billy Crudup as Dr. Manhattan is great.
Okay.
The movie, if you're gonna see it, watch the 3-hour director's cut. The theatrical cut
Jeez.
is just a compromised version of the true story. It leaves out a lot of scenes that really flesh out the world and character motivations.
Okay.
There is also an ultimate cut that is even longer, which merges in the Tales of the Black Freighter animated story. Because in
okay.
the book, there was a fake comic book called Tales of the Black Freighter that a kid was reading over the course of the story, and the themes in that fake comic were also themes in the real story we were
Oh,
reading.
okay.
So they made an animated movie that was like 30 minutes and spliced it in. If you're a big fan, watch that version if you've read the book. If not, the director's cut is the best version.
Okay.
I love the.
Best adaptation of a book in terms of scene for scene that I've seen, it only really changes one thing, and I actually don't mind it changing that because, without spoilers, if they had changed that, I don't think it would have worked in a modern film. Like the thing in the book just it doesn't work in a film setting. The thing they changed it to, I think, works better.
Yeah.
I love the Bob Dylan Times Are Changing scene. That was
The
cool.
the opening titles is probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
Just the times they were changing it basically to shorten it, they only showed the stuff in the 80s, they frequently flash back to the 40s in the book,
Okay.
and they just sum all that up in the opening credits through a montage,
Oh, okay.
and it works well, I think.
Okay.
Hopefully, at some point, we could do one of our book talks, which we'll talk about at the end.
I'd like to, yeah.
For this movie, and so we can all discuss it, because there's a lot to say about it.
Not a bad idea.
All right.
Depressing, though. Very
Yeah, it
depressing.
is, yeah. All right, so this movie was interesting when it came out. Jonah Hex,
Haven't seen it.
2010.
I've had the displeasure of seeing this film.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I was kind of excited for it. I was like, this is
So
interesting.
I'm gonna say we gotta keep moving a little bit. So
Yeah.
be brief on this one.
All right, sorry. So I mean, yeah, I just
Boring. Very boring.
Very boring. I kind of like the idea of a Western concept, but it didn't work.
It worked better in Cowboys versus Aliens.
Yeah.
The only scene
is
about
that
this-
DC? Was that DC?
No, it wasn't based on anything. The only scene in this film that's been popular is an ugly Blu-ray trailer for WB. They show that scene of Megan Fox opening the door.
Oh my god.
They show that every commercial for Blu-ray back in 2010.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. All right.
Anyways.
2011, the year that it went downhill. Green Lantern.
I remember being so excited for this movie.
Well, here's the thing about Green Lantern. Unpopular opinion, but I actually kind of enjoyed it when it came out. I didn't think it was
So
terribly bad.
I walked away from it thinking eh. That was I watched it a long time ago, and I was just kind of I don't really care. I didn't like it, but I didn't hate it.
I didn't think the CGI was horrible.
When I was 11, I enjoyed it, but I don't really. It kind of reminded me every movie in that era being this. They tried to make a franchise out of it, and it didn't work. And
it kind of bugs me. I don't know much about Hal Jordan's origin story, but it kind of bugs me that I feel like a lot of superhero movies of that era felt like they had to do this thing where it's the single dad who's has to raise his son, and his mom doesn't really want him to be around, that sort of thing. And I was just kind of put off by that. I was like, why does every movie have to do this?
I just lump this movie in with Clash of the Titans and Avatar, stuff like that, where it's just these huge CG blockbusters.
Yeah.
I think Avatar's a pretty good movie, but all the others not.
Yeah.
I need to rewatch Avatar.
It's
been so long that it's I need to just absorb it again just to make sure I'm not.
Got to do it again before 2 through 5 come out.
Oh my goodness! I don't think people should go view those movies just on principle, because we need to put James Cameron out of business.
Why?
Because that man just needs to stop hating.
What?
I think he's one of the best directors around. I don't want him to stop working.
What was his last best movie?
His last one was Avatar. He hasn't made a movie since. It's not documentaries.
Well, he's made he's definitely produced a lot of.
Yeah, he's produced a lot, and he did some documentaries with Disney. But his last narrative film was Avatar.
Exactly.
And that was a good movie.
I think it's all right.
Terminator 1 and 2, Aliens, Titanic, Avatar.
So I think he's a prolific director.
You just made Sarah have to do that. I mean,
he's made some of my favorite movies ever.
I mean, he's unarguably one of the best directors, just in regards to critical success. But anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
Anyways,
we'll have Cameron at some point.
We'll come back to this at some point.
The Dark Knight Rises, which I've seen this movie over 20 times because
you've seen it over 20 times.
I've seen it more than the Dark Knight because one summer it was all I had to watch. So
The Dark Knight is on Netflix now.
Oh, it is.
So you can free yourself from your prison.
Well, I mean, this is a weird summer, and I had it on DVD, and that's all I popped in.
I really like The Dark Knight Rises.
But I love the scene. I love Bane. Here's the thing. Before then, I was very skeptical about Bane being sort of in the movie as Tom Hardy. But when he came out, I was like, this is really
Tom Hardy really owns it.
Dark Knight, when you watch that movie, it goes by fast. Dark Knight Rises is one of those ones where I started to feel the length a little bit.
Yeah, you definitely. It definitely feels long. It definitely feels like one of those movies where you are in an entirely different place at the end. Whereas in Dark Knight, you didn't feel like the story took you somewhere. It felt like a story was just sort of told to you in a way.
I always thought the ending reminded me of the ending of Avengers, where he takes the bomb off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's basically they came out the same year.
Yeah.
So only a few months apart, actually.
Yeah. So I like Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, good movie.
Sorry again, Dad. He hates that movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Does he like Batman Begins?
He, sorry, Dad. He thinks Batman Begins is tolerable.
Oh, okay.
And hates The Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises.
Just because they're too dark, or?
It's just sort of like he understands that they're like from a film technique perspective. He understands that they're good, but it's just like not what he wants out of a superhero movie.
My parents don't like them just because they're so dark. That's the reason why.
Yeah, and I mean, my sister and I watched it for the first time, and she was just sort of like, yeah, it just felt too like psychological horror for me, and I was like, you don't understand what psychological horror is.
I was like, go watch The Conjuring, then tell me.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Anyways,
speaking of that, Aquaman. No, I'm sorry.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
So the next movie up is Man of Steel, which I love. I don't think it deserves as much hate as it.
I really like Man of Steel.
I don't think it because I thought when it came out, it was really cool. Like I just thought it was like.
Yeah.
Like yes, he punches a lot and stuff, but like I just, near the end, it kind of gets a little like old, but like still, I thought it was a lot of the sequences. It was well shot, and a lot of the CGI worked. Also, Russell Crowe did really good. I love that, and also the Hans Zimmer.
The score is great. I have part of it on my playlist.
Amazing, yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's shot well. I think I disagree with the fact that it is as gray as it is. I would have liked a little bit more color. I think that's mostly a byproduct of the Dark Knight trilogy.
That's one of the negative aspects.
Yeah, one of the negative aspects of the trilogy.
Yeah.
Also, Nolan was a producer.
Of the effects of the trilogy.
Was he really?
Yeah, that would probably explain why it's so blue, actually. It's a hilariously blue film.
I don't love the way it looks. That being said, I think Cavill's a great Superman. And what people don't understand is he's not the Superman we know yet.
Yeah.
The whole thing is it's his journey to become Superman. I don't think he truly becomes Superman until the end of Justice League.
I love just the whole backstory of how he came to be and stuff like that.
I think they understand the whole not feeling at home on Earth thing of Superman in this movie. They nail it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So when I watched this movie, I've seen it one time. When I watched it, I made the mistake of watching it with my parents. Now, I'm a devoted, faithful Catholic. My parents are devoted, faithful Catholics. The religious imagery in Superman is, for one thing, over the top, and also a bit contradictory with what actually happens in the movie. Because what you have is these two pagan gods, and the humans are so tiny, and they can just do nothing about it. I'm sort of parroting my friend who's talking about this. Whereas the story of Jesus, right, which is who they're obviously mirroring, is about self-sacrifice and loving another and all of that, where there's some of that in the Superman, but it's not like Superman actually has this passion and he doesn't actually sacrifice anything at the end. He just has this giant Dragon Ball Z throwdown.
I think they go into this later. Yeah. It's more of him just being godlike power than it is a specific religious. Yeah. Well,
my parents were super offended the whole time, so that kind of ruined my enjoyment of it. So I need to go back and watch it by myself, because without their over the top, I was sad I didn't watch it in the theater with them, because at least I could have tuned them out, because they couldn't pause the movie. Whereas I was just sort of underwhelmed by it the whole time. I thought the Dragon Ball Z stuff was good. I was I walked away thinking that's the best live action Dragon Ball Z movie there is.
The only good live.
The only good one.
I do understand the controversy with him killing people at the end. Superman doesn't do that. In the situation that he was in.
Doesn't he kill Zod in Superman 2?
I haven't seen the whole thing. I don't remember.
But he snaps his neck and stuff. which was surprising to see.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I thought it was sort of like, even.
But it also makes sense.
He's gonna
in the
massacre
context
his-
Yeah, it
of-
makes sense in the context of the circumstance. So I don't know.
Also, we
it's
got a
kinda
whole
weird.
trilogy of a different Batman interpretation, and then you get the first Superman different interpretation. Everybody's upset about it.
And
Yeah.
also, Superman's just a difficult character to write for. How do you create sort of these sort of for somebody who's invincible practically? How do you create these
How do you create a good story out of
good
that?
story, and how
Yeah.
do you create the only thing that makes him weak is
Yeah.
kryptonite? I mean, that's I
So
don't know.
next
Yeah.
thing on the list, we got to keep moving, man.
All right. The next thing is Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Okay.
Not a good movie.
The opening to this movie, I think, is stellar.
I
The
haven't
opening.
seen- I haven't-
What's the opening?
The
again?
opening is when you see the ending of Man of Steel from the perspective of Bruce Wayne.
Oh yeah,
I think that's
pretty
great.
good. I think there are good parts of the movie.
Yeah, it's got good parts, and I think it's one of those movies where it's got a lot of great stuff, but it doesn't add up to a great movie.
Yeah. Well, so Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne is actually really good. That was like the biggest surprise. Was like everybody was expecting him to be the worst part, and he was arguably the best part.
And Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
There's no reason for
I
anyone to
just-
be in this movie.
I
And
didn't watch it.
and I thought
I'm trying to avoid spoilers.
I was
I'm gonna watch the director's cut.
Yeah, that's the version you want to see is the
Yeah.
director's cut.
yeah, and I thought Jesse Eisenberg, while not the Lex Luthor I would have wanted, was good with what he was given. I thought he really owned that like crazy guy role.
Yeah.
Now I think he's like far too young. I think that was odd. Like he's a really young guy and he should not be playing Lex Luthor, who's this like experienced businessman who's figured out that this is the best way to go about real estate and like that.
I wish they would have gone with like Bryan Cranston as like the rumors had said. I think
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
Yeah. Especially
yeah.
back then, he was just
So,
coming off of
yeah.
Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
I need to watch the ultimate cut,
Yeah.
but
That's the version to see. It actually, like plot wise, makes more sense.
yeah, and I've seen the theatrical cut twice, and I did not like it both times.
The ultimate cut doesn't fix all the problems, but it at least fixes some of the narrative structure issues.
Yeah.
And it also
Why did you say that name?
It doesn't fix that, and it doesn't fix the random decision to have Doomsday be in this movie. But
Why?
it does fix the strange like disconnect with the
Woman.
beginning in Africa, and it
Oh, yeah.
explains why that's in the movie. It kind of
Yeah. The Africa thing is so bizarre. Yeah, there's so much happening in that movie, and in the theatrical cut, it doesn't come together.
this ties the scenes in together better. Like it ties
Okay.
in the Africa sequence, and it ties in Superman actually does some reporting in this movie.
Oh,
in the
nice.
Ultimate
Hey,
Cut.
wow.
Yeah.
That's surprising. All right. Anyways,
Yeah.
we gotta keep
Yeah.
this
All
train
right, so
going.
Yeah,
this is
I think
where
we're not gonna get to TV today.
I mean, we might at least
Maybe.
because I don't
We have to go quick on
Yeah.
TV though.
All right, Suicide Squad. Woo!
garbage.
All right.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman.
That's what I've
That's
heard.
the general consensus. It's
that's
trash.
garbage.
Uh,
Wonder Woman, 2017, the savior of DC.
I've seen the first third of this movie.
Personally, I think it's highly overrated. I don't think it's
Yeah.
bad. I just think it's been hyped up so much that it's not nearly as good as the hype
Yeah.
says it is.
I think that I think it might be a little overrated, but I thought it was properly rated for from what I saw.
Yeah. It was when it came out, but
Yeah.
by the time it's been hyped up for
Yeah.
2 years at this point. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Justice League.
So I give it a B minus.
I'd probably give it the same.
I give it a
Yeah.
C plus.
Yeah, it's got
Major difference there, Ahmad.
It's got some good stuff
Yeah.
in it, but it could have been way better.
I think I like Ezra Miller as Flash more than most, and I like
Definitely more than I did.
anything.
The casting wasn't bad. It was
And
just,
I also inherently like anything with Cyborg in it at all because I'm that big of a Teen Titans guy.
I love the fact. I mean, if they didn't have him say "booyah" throughout the film, I would have actually been really upset. Like, actually.
Well, and
But he did say
and the
it,
fact
yeah,
that he
yeah.
said "booyah" is like
maybe.
that was maybe the most important thing of that movie is that
It
he
really
had
was.
to say "booyah."
No
and
joke.
he did.
No joke. If he didn't say "booyah," I swear to God, I would.
Also, apparently, side note, Cyborg just got introduced in Young Justice,
He's gonna be in Doom Patrol as well. The new DC Universe TV
which
show.
is cool.
Yeah, except the movie looks
Although I
pretty
probably
good.
won't watch Doom
Yeah.
Patrol, but anyways.
Young Justice didn't come out yet, right? The new season.
Yeah, it's been airing on the DC streaming.
Yeah, DC.
Is there like a do you get like a
you
free
get like a
trial?
month free or something like
Month
that.
free?
I should have picked it up.
Maybe it's 2 weeks. I don't know.
I
You
might
get like somewhere between
binge it
2
with
and
my
4
sister.
weeks for free.
Yeah, my sister and I, like, that's the thing that we bond with. So
Yeah. Once, like, well, anyway, long story short, DC.
Yeah.
Once they get more shows on the network, then I'll consider it. I'm not gonna just get it for Titans essentially at this
wait.
point.
All right. Anyways, we'll
Yeah.
get to that. Aquaman.
We already talked about it last week.
Yeah.
So I guess you want to just defer to that episode because we
Yeah.
just talked
Go
about
back,
Aquaman.
watch that episode.
Talk about it last
so,
week.
All right,
This
upcoming.
Upcoming.
Shazam.
Don't care.
Joker.
I have to say about Shazam, the trailer is really good, and I have hope. Anyways,
Birds of Prey. Oh, that's funny.
Joker. Wait. So we did like an extensive take on this.
Yes.
One episode. It comes out this year.
I forgot about that, but yeah, it comes out this year. We talked about it. Go back and watch that. It looks pretty good. I got hope for it.
Well,
Not part of
especially
the
with
DC,
what's his
Joaquin
name?
Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix
Martin
and what's
Scorsese.
his name?
or Todd
Martin
Phillips.
Scorsese. Yeah.
And Todd Phillips is attached to direct too. I'm genuinely curious, and I have no idea what this movie's gonna be. Birds of Prey. Do not care.
It could be good.
It's a
I don't
Suicide
know.
Squad spinoff.
Oh, wow.
I have no faith.
Yo, you know what I'm actually intrigued by? There's a trailer that came out. I guess it's supposed to be a. I don't know. Is it Birds of Prey?
Yeah.
The horror movie sort of thing.
Are you thinking of New Mutants?
No.
No.
I'm thinking of there's a take. It's like a what if scenario. What if Superman was actually a super like
Oh, that's Red Sun.
Red Sun.
Yeah, they might be making an animated movie.
Yeah, that might be an animated
Is it
film.
animated? I thought it was live
it's-
action.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it, but.
Yeah, they're
Do you
making
mean?
a Superman Red Sun movie.
I mean, I would like them to. I doubt it,
Yeah,
but I would like.
I haven't
them
heard
to.
anything about this.
But like I saw the trailer and it looked kind of terrifying. I don't know.
Oh, you mean Brightburn?
Brightburn.
Yeah, it's not. It's based on like the kind of idea of Superman, but it's not tied to. It's not Warner Brothers. It's
Oh
Sony.
yeah. That's the Russos.
Oh, James Gunn, I think.
Yeah, James Gunn.
He's
Oh,
producing
Because
it.
he can't
It
make.
does actually
Guardians
look
3.
like an interesting movie, but it's not. It's like
So it's not attached to the DC.
it's based on the kind of idea of alien crash lands on Earth and is raised by humans,
Oh.
but it's then
Super
diverts from
different.
there. It's very different aside from that basic premise.
Oh.
But it does look like
I
a
got
good movie.
I got excited because I was like, is this attached to like a Superman what if thing or?
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
But, yeah.
What else we got?
there's Wonder Woman 1984.
I'll see it. I don't
Yeah.
know.
And then I don't know. These are just like I don't know.
Is
these
there-
are-
is
I mean,
there
I
ano-
don't
is
know
there
if these are
another
being-
one?
Yeah, the Batman.
The Batman, the Suicide.
The Suicide Squad.
The
What?
Suicide.
I thought it was the Suicide Squad Returns.
It probably is.
Maybe.
The Batman.
The Bat. So the fact that it's Matt Reeves gives me hope because he did a really, really good job with the Planet of the Apes movies.
I just don't know how this is going to make sense because they said, oh, Joe, I always forget how to pronounce his last name, Manganiello, was going to play Deathstroke in the movie, but then, spoilers for Justice League, he's in the end credit scene, pops up in costume with Lex Luthor, which means that he's in present day. So this movie is going to be young Batman, but they're still going to have the same age Deathstroke.
Yeah.
Well,
That
is
doesn't make
it
any
because
sense.
I think it's Batfleck. Still, I think.
No, he's not in it. They're casting a younger Batman.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, it's going to take place in his early years.
Are they? Are they? Oh, okay. I thought the rumors were John Hamm then.
There's rumors about him, and there's one other one that's in the front runner that I can't remember.
Yeah. If it's John Hamm, they could put it a little closer to.
Yeah, I guess I would.
All right, let's go. Okay, let's go over.
Yeah.
Let's go over the animated films if we can.
Yeah.
Let's
And
go
we'll do
over
TV
animated
next week.
films.
Yeah.
Yeah, TV next
All right,
week.
so Batman, Mask of the
Phantasm.
Phantasm.
I haven't seen it.
I've heard it's probably arguably the best Batman movie,
Really?
but
Animated?
I want to see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Batman and Mr. Freeze, Sub-Zero.
So it's part of the TV series, I believe.
I haven't
Batman Beyond, Return of the Joke. Or
Part of the TV series. I haven't seen it.
Jen.
yeah.
Jen.
Oh, that's not.
Oh.
Okay, skip. That's
Not
All
relevant.
right, Batman, Mystery of the Batwoman. All right.
A lot of these are these early animated films are tied to the TV series.
Oh, the Batman vs. Dracula, Superman, Brainiac Attacks, Teen Titans,
Teen
Trouble in Tokyo.
The conclusion of the series until we
Makes
get a
it-
continuation, whenever
makes-
that happens.
Makes it makes
Oh man,
tears
the
to my
final
eyes.
the final scene where Robin and
Yeah.
Starfire finally kiss.
Yeah, it
It
makes
was like
things-
all of the shippers were like,
brings tears to
Thumbs
my
up.
heart. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Right.
essentially, you can. What year was that came out?
2006.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So the animated DC line
Yeah.
started in 07. Everything prior to that was just tied to TV series.
Yeah. Superman.
although Teen Titans Trouble in Tokyo was definitely like part of the.
One of the bigger event movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Superman Doomsday.
I
Haven't seen it.
Justice League: The New Frontier.
Seen it a long time ago. It's kind of got like a 40s.
Can
50s aesthetic.
you hover over it for a second so I can just see the?
It's that one that
PR?
has like a 50s aesthetic to it.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen it.
I've seen it before.
That's my first introduction to Martian Manhunter.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Batman, Gotham Knight.
Can you
Is that the one
hover
that's
over?
tied to
Can you hover
the
over?
Nolan trilogy?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's set between.
Batman
So it's
Begins
a
and
it's a collection. Yeah, it's set between Batman Begins and Dark Knight.
I don't know if
Wonder-
Nolan considered it canon, but
Yeah.
I'd still like to see it.
Yeah. Wonder
Wonder Woman.
which is I think the 1950s aesthetic film. I don't know.
I don't know.
The 09 movie?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Green Lantern, First Flight. I've actually seen this. It was pretty good.
It's a better Green Lantern movie than the one we
Yeah,
got
that's,
this year.
that's true. Superman, Batman, Public Enemies, which I've seen.
I saw a long time ago.
Yeah.
I was probably like 10. When did it come out?
Yeah, 2009.
I say I was probably around 10
Yeah.
when I saw it.
Justice League: Crisis on Two Earths, which I've also seen.
Yeah.
Really
I haven't seen it.
good. Batman Under the Red Hood.
Really good.
Yeah.
Haven't seen it. Want to see it. Is this the one where I know the Red Hood storyline? So like,
Yeah.
is this the one where it's actually about like Red Hood almost gets Batman to actually kill the Joker?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Superman, Batman, Apocalypse.
I think that's tied to the Public Enemies one.
yeah.
All Star Superman.
Every time I see the poster for that, I always just get don't really care about
Yeah,
it. Like, it just looks
Yeah.
really boring.
All Star Superman. Ooh. Green Lantern, Emerald Knights, which is also good.
It's incredibly odd that DC thought it would be an interesting idea to have a night motif for their superheroes.
Yeah.
Well,
It's like that doesn't like they're not the Knights of the Round Table. Just stop.
I mean,
Anyways,
I mean, they're basically more of like an intergalactic police force. Than
Yeah,
anything
exactly.
else.
Batman.
They're like Starfleet.
Yeah. Batman Year One, which
Haven't
is
seen it.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. Justice League Doom.
I think this is the one that I've seen, and I liked it. But it was alright.
Superman versus the Elite.
I haven't seen it.
That sounds like propaganda if I've ever heard it.
Also, we can go through a few of these faster because like they
Yeah.
made 30 movies in 10 years.
Yeah,
Most of these I
goodness
haven't
gracious.
seen yet.
All right, The Dark Knight Returns Part 1, The Dark Knight Returns Part 2.
Apparently, it's a good
I
adaptation.
want to see it.
Superman Unbound.
I haven't seen
haven't
it.
seen it.
Justice League. Flashpoint Paradox. I can't.
Flashpoint
very good.
Paradox is
Yeah.
really good.
Sorry.
The art
I-
style is a little weird to me, but it's still really good. Has a lot of really interesting ideas.
It was so good.
I like
Also,
the
if you liked A
alt-universe.
Wonderful Life, this is basically a more violent version of that.
Yeah.
So
I like the alt universe Batman. It's pretty cool.
yeah, it's a cool idea.
JLA Adventures, Trapped in Time, which is
I mean-
Very much a kids movie.
yeah. Justice League War.
Which can you hover over that real quick? Is that the one where it's actually Darkseid?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the one I've seen.
Batman, Assault on Arkham.
So there's Son of Batman first.
Oh, sorry. Son of Batman.
Haven't seen it.
That's the one
I think I've seen
I
this
haven't
one.
seen that one.
The
Justice-
Assault on Arkham one I think is tied to the games, I believe. I think it's canon.
Yeah, video game
Oh, that's
franchise. Yeah. Batman versus Robin. Oh, actually, sorry, I skipped over. Justice League: Throne of Atlas.
Or
Atlantis.
Atlantis, sorry. Atlas. Batman versus Robin. Batman
Uh,
Unlimited.
Batman versus Robin, kind of lame. Just
I
gonna
mean,
say.
the title seems kind of lame too.
Yeah.
Batman Unlimited Animal Instincts. Which is
The Batman Unlimited line was essentially just DVDs that got shipped with toys. Of like, so they're not
Oh.
actually animated movies. They were just like they got released. They were toy tie-ins.
Okay.
So disregard the Unlimited line.
Justice League Gods and Monsters.
Well, you skipped over a few. Oh wait, no. I thought.
Batman
Yeah.
Unlimited Animal Instincts. I mean, I don't know. That's the one we just did. Batman Unlimited. Batman Bad Blood.
A lot of Batman movies.
Yeah, Batman
Yeah.
Bad Blood.
Of course.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
DC Superhero Girls, Superhero High.
No,
I
haven't
have
seen
no
that one.
idea.
Justice League versus Teen Titans.
Neat concept. Maybe gonna watch it at some point, just because I have a emotional
Oh, this
connection to the Justice or
this
to the
is
Teen Titan.
Batman: The Killing Joke.
So this was controversial.
It's because well, I don't know. It's kind of a spoiler. It's if you care about spoilers, jump ahead.
It's
3
also
minutes.
been like 4 years.
It ends up
years.
being they change Batman's in a relationship with Batgirl, which kind of changes things.
Yeah,
And
it's weird.
They have, it's weird. They have a scene that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
but they still, I think they just, I guess they wanted to add more context to it, because if they just directly adapted the book, the movie would be too short, so they had to add some padding in. But,
Batman Returns, Return of the Caped Crusaders.
I think it's actually tied to the '60s series. Like they actually brought back.
Oh yeah.
Adam
That's the
West.
one where they had like Adam West and
Justice League Dark,
Haven't seen it.
Teen Titans, The Judas Contract. I don't know.
That one looked kind of cool. I remember.
Batman and Harley Quinn.
I heard that was awful.
Batman versus Two-Face.
I think that's also part of the '60s series.
DC Superheroes versus Eagle. I don't know what that is. Oh, here is something. Scooby-Doo and Batman, the Brave and the Bold. The Brave and the Bold series
Is that? I think that's also not the first time Batman and
Scooby-Doo
have crossed over.
Yeah, I mean,
Which is amazing.
pretty sure it's
I
like
think
60s or
I think the
like
fact that, so we're gonna tie this back to the very, very beginning. I think there's a very, very good chance that Shaggy and Scooby are in Justice 3.
Probably.
Anyways, we'll keep going.
Batman Ninja.
Oh yeah,
I was so intrigued with that. I haven't
it's
watched
a
it.
neat idea, and it's
It
probably
looks-
really lame.
It looks
Probably.
interesting.
But I'll see it at some
Suicide
point.
Squad, Hell to Pay. Teen Titans Go to the movies.
One of the biggest surprises of 2018.
Yeah, I guess.
Like a lot of people really liked it. Also, Stan Lee has a cameo.
Oh, wow.
It's
One of his
amazing.
last ones too.
Yeah.
Right. The Death
And
of
then-
Superman.
Just basically a remake of Doomsday.
Oh yeah.
It's a
I
two-part.
heard it wasn't very good.
Right.
And then 2019.
Reign of the Superman.
That's the part 2 of Death of Superman.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, they're both tied to the same.
So 2019, upcoming Justice League versus the Fatal Five.
I'll probably check it out.
Batman Hush.
I am actually really excited for that one
Yeah.
because the Hush missions in Arkham City, it got me really intrigued by that storyline.
Okay.
And so I'm actually wanting to see the full storyline play out.
Okay.
It's probably gonna hopefully be an R-rated one.
All right. Wonder Woman Bloodlines.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans. I don't know what that is.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Is that like
You want this movie so bad, and you have no
what is
idea.
it? What is it?
It's literally. Go
Teen
back.
Titans Go
Well,
versus Teen
I
Titans.
clicked on it. Oh, so it's Teen Titans Go versus the original Teen Titans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this true?
Yes.
Is that real?
Yes.
Yes.
Confirmed.
Okay.
The
Double confirmed.
Wikipedia
Oh
page
my
wouldn't
God.
lie.
Wikipedia's never been wrong.
No, yeah, they
God.
actually announced it, and when I saw this, I was like, "All right, this is how they're gonna play it, right? This is gonna be really successful because kids are gonna go watch this." And then whoever made it is like, "Hey, people really want the original Teen Titans," and then we'll get
Dude,
the
I'm already-
the
I'm already-
fabled season 6.
And then they'll get you to pay for their streaming service so you can watch
Exactly.
it.
Honestly, I would be a sucker. I would get suckered in. I would want to watch.
This is literally the only way they
Young,
get me
Young
to do
Justice
the DC.
too. I want to watch Young Justice too.
Yeah.
But,
I'll just do my free trial for that one.
yeah. What was I gonna say? Honestly, I don't think Teen Titans Go is a terrible show. Like, it's drastically different from the original animated series,
Which is why it's bad.
which is why. Yes, but if I was growing up right now, I would think it was nice and fun.
Yeah, like I'm sure kids love it.
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
I see why kids love it.
No, we'll talk about TV next week because we're out of time.
We're way out of time. So with that, is that it? There's DC Super Pets, I think.
DC Super Pets 2021.
Give me a Superman Red Sun movie. I want one of those.
Yeah, do it. So with that, sorry, can you rattle off our social media?
Okay. So we're
Okay.
okay. Make sure I don't mess up this time. We're at Cast Kate, or rather than say Cast Kata, on Twitter. Though our name has been changed to the Lab Rats Entertainment Podcast across all platforms. We are at the Lab Rats Podcast on Instagram, and obviously, if you're depending on where you're listening to this, we are the Lab Rats on Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play.
I think that's exactly right.
Yeah. The Google Play, if you're trying to listen on there, for some reason it's not showing up in the search bar. The link is on our Twitter account if you're trying to find it. Spotify is having some issues. We'll get that worked out, likely within the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. As long as they respond to emails.
Which they haven't in a couple days, but we're working on it.
So we have one announcement, and that is we're doing a sort of book club thing. So if you want to do this with us, we're gonna start out. So what we're gonna do is the three of us are going to watch thing that is suggested by us.
We're only calling it book club. We're not actually reading. Sorry.
Yeah, it's no actual
Us
books.
reading?
No, I don't have time to read in college.
So how this is gonna work is we're gonna suggest a TV series or a movie. We're not gonna do games because Ahmad can't play games.
Yeah,
and
blame
Sire
it on
can't
me.
actually play
All
games.
my consoles
Yeah.
except for my Switch are back home.
Yeah, so we're gonna
I haven't played anything in a while.
yeah, so
Unless
we're gonna hold off until people are gonna actually play games.
Probably this summer we'll start games. I would assume.
Hold off until
Conceivably.
until the PS5 comes out.
Yeah.
That's when I'll actually
I probably won't be that far away.
Yeah, no. So with that, we're gonna start with our first book club, and the first one is Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works on. It's on Netflix. The whole thing is on Netflix, and it's really good. I've seen it before. I've watched the whole series twice through already, and I just rewatched a few episodes the other day just to sort of refamiliarize myself. I'll probably watch like the whole Fate Zero, Fate Stay Night thing over again soon, just to because it's so good. So we'll have Ahmad and Sawyer watch it, and I'll probably go back and watch it too. If you want to do that as well, please. I would highly recommend the series.
We'll be rotating each week for who gets, or I guess
Yeah.
not each week, but every time.
Every time we
up,
change, yeah.
to who gets to pick
So
the next one.
yeah, so not this weekend because everybody's busy this weekend, but within the next 3 episodes, conceivably everybody has watched the series through. It's not a very long series, and for that week after, that will be the topic of discussion for our hour-long discussion. So, Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works.
Do we want to go ahead and announce what we're planning to do, not this weekend, but the next weekend?
Because we're not all of us are ready to fully commit to it just yet. I think we should wait until next week just to make sure we can actually pull it off.
I got everybody excited.
Hey, well, all I know now is there's a surprise in the works.
This is going to be a weird tease, so yeah.
There's a surprise in the works.
Yes, so
something is
there's
happening.
a thing that has been
Things
hinted
are
at.
happening.
Things are happening.
There is a thing that has been hinted at in several previous episodes that we might be doing.
Yeah. It's
So-
going to be a massive undertaking.
Yes.
But
People are going to die. No,
things are going to happen.
People have lost lives for
The
this.
sirens are blaring.
Let's get Hans Zimmer to score it.
Yeah, exactly. With that is the second episode of the Lab Rats.
Also
Entertainment
known as the
Podcast.
14th episode of the Catacast.
Yeah, so we've been doing this 14 times.
Wow, we have a lot of time on it. No, sorry. No,
This is we've done this for more than a day's worth of time now, if you think about it.
Yeah?
So
It's been well worth it.
yeah. Thanks for listening. I'm Ezra.
I'm Ahmad.
And I'm Sawyer.
Bye.